multiple worlds collecting cards from Naruto. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101 Action Plan. After making sure that the two men were not lying, Chen Tian put away the knife in his hand. The reason why he did not let Hong and Kakashi use illusion to interrogate directly was because he heard the two men say that they could not return to the land of fire, otherwise there would be no need to go through so much trouble. Don't worry, you two, we are Konoha ninjas. This is Konoha's new white fang hat. Take Kakashi. Pointing at Kakashi, Chen Tian said in a soft voice. The two looked at Kakashi's white hair and the short knife behind him, and they burst into tears immediately, almost hugging Kakashi's legs. After the two of them had been out for a while, they immediately took the initiative to explain, "We are all fishermen from the Fire Country, and we were captured by the people from the Sun Country. After being captured, those who are valuable were sent to work, and those who are worthless were sent to sacrifice to the god of death. We don't know how many people were captured in total, but there are less than 200 people in this town. Almost all of them are fishermen from the Fire Country. Because we know a few words, our status is slightly higher, and we can come out for a drink." Listening to the two of them talking quietly, Chen Tian and others also knew the whole story. More than a decade ago, the people of this country suddenly believed in the god of death, but living people were needed to commemorate the god of death. At first, they used people from their own country, and over time they began to plunder the population along the coast of the Fire Country. Usually, they made them work day and night, as long as they didn't die. On the 15th of every month, two people were randomly selected to be sent to the god of death, and sacrificed together with the god of death. More than a decade ago, they suddenly encountered the disgust of the god of death, and several people died inexplicably every day. They tried their best, but couldn't stop this. At this time, the leader of the death god cult came to them. He told them that, as long as they believed in the death god cult, and offered sacrifices every month, the death god would be willing to accept them again. In order to survive, these people began to believe in the death god cult, and forced people to be sacrificed every month. As long as it wasn't them who died, anyone could die. In the end, most of the people of low status died, and the rest began to form groups, and the landlords could not continue to attack. In order to prevent themselves from being sacrificed, they began to plunder people along the coast of the Fire Country and use these people for sacrifice, which made them feel relieved. Over the years, more and more people have been arrested, and even more people have been sacrificed. 2 people need to be sacrificed every month, and 10 people are needed during festivals. Throughout the year, almost hundreds or thousands of people have their souls taken by the death god, but they can't escape. Hearing this, Chen Tian, Kakashi, and Zehong's faces all turned black. These bastards actually dared to sacrifice people from the Fire Country. "Do you know which town the death cult is in?" Chen Tian's tone was filled with suppressed anger. "Although we have never left this town, we have heard about it many times." Another person quickly added, "The death cult is not in any of the 8 towns, but in the center of these 8 towns. There is a Peach Blossom Mountain there, and the people of the death cult are in Peach Blossom Mountain. We don't know the details." Chen Tian and the others also understood. After all, they were just 2 people who were captured for sacrifice. Even if literacy was a little useful, it was impossible for them to know so much. "When is the next sacrifice?" Kakashi suddenly spoke up. "In 2 days, 2 nights later, it will be the next death cult. The people to be sacrificed have been sent away." Nodding, Chen Tian patted the 2 men on the shoulders. "You stay here for 2 days first, and we will take you to the land of fire, after we deal with the death cult." Hearing this, the 2 strong men burst into tears again, choking and unable to speak. Seeing the 2 men like this, Chen Tian and the other 2 looked even uglier. What on earth did these beasts do to make such a man cry so sadly? These 2 are the best off among all the people. What about the rest? Konoha has changed bit by bit under the influence of Chen Tian, and it has been different over the years. All the people of the land of fire are their compatriots, and it is natural to protect their compatriots. Under Chen Tian's constant indoctrination, Kakashi and Yuhi Kuronoi have long been influenced, so they are so indignant. Next, Kakashi and Chenshin acted separately, and Kurenoi went with Chenshin. Although they knew the ins and outs, they knew nothing about the strength of the Death God cult. The methods used by the leader of the Death God cult last time were still vivid in Chenshin's memory, so he had to be careful. Kakashi naturally went to find a rich landlord, tortured him with illusion, and then made him disappear. Chenshin and Kurenoi wandered around and continued to collect information about the memorial service. The memorial service is a major event for the Death God cult. Everyone will gather on Teohua Mountain at that time, making it convenient for Chenshin and others to catch them all in one fell swoop. After a day, Kakashi and Chenshin gathered on the cliff. Let's go in and talk first. Chenshin was the first to enter the wood release house. Kakashi, Zaoshin, Han, you are finally back. K's front teeth shining white light appeared in the eyes of the three people at the first time. After a brief exchange with several people, Chenshin and Kakashi began to exchange information. The Enbu has already alerted the Death God cult. During this period, the Death God cult has been secretly investigating and trying to catch that Enbu. They have issued an order to let all the people in the Sun Country pay attention. Once a suspicious person appears, they must report to them. Kakashi recounted the news he got from the torture word by word, with a serious face. Although the three of them changed clothes before, they were unfamiliar faces after all, and they might have been discovered. But this is only a possibility. He continued, these people don't know the specific strength of the Death God cult, but the number of people is definitely more than 200. But more than my speculation, it should be similar to your last situation. The only real strong person is the leader. While speaking, Kakashi looked at Chenshin and Han inquiringly, habitually ignoring K. Chenshin and Han looked at each other and nodded. This guy sacrificed all the people in the Death God Mountain in order to improve his strength. With his personality, although he would give his subordinates some benefits, it would definitely not be more. It would not be enough for him to sacrifice all of them, so how could he be willing to share with others? In this case, let's wait for the Death God Festival in 2 days and catch them all in one fell swoop. In the end, it was Chenshin who made the final decision, and no one else objected. After confirming, Chenshin said to Kakashi, you must explore the terrain of Teohua Mountain clearly in the next 2 days, to prevent being ambushed again. No problem, I will go there in the middle of the night, and will be back tomorrow morning. Kakashi nodded. He was very familiar with this kind of thing and there was no problem at all. Chapter 102, Death Cult Conspiracy. While Chen Tian was discussing with Kakashi and others, the Death God cult of Teohua Mountain was also in a state of unrest. Master, someone came today to report that 3 strangers entered town number 8, ate and drank, and left. Their travels were quite suspicious. The Great Protector was wearing a black robe, with a large hood covering him tightly, only his 2 eyes flashing with an inhuman light. The Death God cult master sitting on the upper hand no longer looked like Xiang Yi, but a middle-aged man with a gloomy face, and his hooked nose looked disgusting. The hook-nosed man tapped the table beside him with his right index finger and said gloomily, the most likely person who can come here is a ninja from Konoha. As if he had thought of something, the hook-nosed man's face suddenly became ugly, and he gritted his teeth and said, go and notify them to bring all the captured sacrifices, and let everyone come to watch the ceremony. He took a deep breath, and a fierce light flashed in the hook-nosed man's eyes. The god of death has forgiven their ignorance in the past. This time, everyone will be given gifts. Everyone must be present. Yes, I will notify them right away. A trace of doubt flashed in the eyes of the Great Protector, and he looked at the hook-nosed man cautiously. When he saw the pair of green eyes, he shuddered and hurriedly took the order. After the Great Protector left, words that made people feel cold all over rang in the room. Konoha, Konoha, you guys made me hide in this broken place last time. Now I'm stronger. Wait for my revenge. No matter who comes this time, everyone come to Teohua Mountain. I don't believe you won't come. I'll see how you can still poke me when the time comes. Perhaps thinking of the scene 2 days later, a creepy laugh rang out in the room. After the Great Guardian left, he quickly summoned other believers and passed on the order of the hook-nosed man, asking them to send them to 8 towns. After receiving the order, these people did not dare to hesitate at all and left Teohua Mountain that night to complete their tasks. They didn't want to be the next sacrifice, and they must not oppose the leader's order. When these people were moving, Kakashi also left the cliff and came to Teohua Mountain. He also carried Chen Tian's flying thunder god Kunai to prevent any irresistible crisis. But the journey was extremely smooth, and no one could find his hiding place. When he arrived at the foot of Teohua Mountain, he witnessed dozens of Shinigami cult members coming down the mountain and heading towards the 8 towns. Should we capture one of them and interrogate their strength? Kakashi hesitated, not knowing whether to act immediately. But after thinking for a while, he shook his head and said, there are still 2 days before the memorial service. If these people don't come back in 2 days, it will definitely arouse suspicion. Let's let them go for the time being. After these people walked away, Kakashi quietly sneaked into Teohua Mountain. The situation that he had imagined that there would be a guard every 3 steps and a sentry every 5 steps did not happen. Everyone was guarding here. If it weren't for the residents of the Shinigami cult members, Kakashi would have thought that this was just a barren mountain. Although he was confused, in order to prevent being tricked, Kakashi did not bother too much and checked the terrain everywhere. When he came to the main hall in the center of Teohua Mountain, he suddenly felt a sense of threat in his heart. His heart told him directly that if he continued to approach, his life would be in danger. After taking a deep look at the main hall, Kakashi retreated. He came here to explore the terrain, so there was no need to fight to the death. After leaving the central area, Kakashi became much bolder. He memorized all the terrain in his mind and checked the strength of ordinary followers. Most of these people were ordinary people, no different from the civilians at the foot of the mountain. Only a few of them were as strong as ninjas, but they were only some genin level, and there were definitely no more than 20 people who reached chunin level. Jonin level was even rarer. According to Kakashi's perception, there were only 3. As for whether there were any hidden strengths, Kakashi was not sure. After doing these things, Kakashi quietly started to go down the mountain and soon returned to the cliff. But on his way back, he encountered something. That is, 2 of the people came to the town, where they had inquired about the news during the day. Seeing this, Kakashi quietly hid aside and listened to the conversation of these people. Listen carefully, everyone. After more than 10 years of offering sacrifices, the god of death has forgiven you. The day after tomorrow, you will bring all the sacrifices to Teohua Mountain, and the god of death will take them all at once. Seeing how well behaved and obedient these people were, the 2 nodded in satisfaction and continued. This large-scale sacrifice is specially held by the god of death to give you divine power. At that time, everyone present will be favored by the god of death. Fearing that these people would pretend to obey, but not to obey, the 2 added another sentence. If one person is not present, the god of death will be angry, and there will be no need for the Sun Country to exist. Yes, yes, yes. We will obey the orders of the god of death, and take everyone with us. A dozen fat men nodded and bowed, and their respectful appearance made Kakashi feel sick. At the same time, the idea of hiding this news in their hearts disappeared. Originally, they wanted to conceal the news, so that only they and others would be favored by the god of death, so that they could become messengers of God, and have a higher status. But in this situation, even if they have to tie everyone up, they must tie everyone up, and take them to Teohua Mountain. After announcing the order, the 2 followed these fat and big-eared men into the most luxurious residence. After a while, dozens of strong men came here with a dozen beautiful girls. When they handed these girls over to the guards, a trace of envy flashed in their eyes. They all knew what the fate of these girls would be tonight. But those 2 were members of the death god cult, and no one dared to say a bad word. If you dare to say a word, the civilians in the town will kill you without the death god cult taking action. As if they thought of some horrible scene, these people shuddered and hurried away from here. At this time, Kakashi had already returned to the temporary residence and sat with Chen Tian and others to discuss. I have explored almost all the terrain, but I felt a dangerous atmosphere in the center, so I didn't explore it. Picking up the cup and taking a sip of water, Kakashi continued. In addition, I have also explored some of their strength. There are more than 50 genin level people, more than 20 chunin, and only 3 jonin. But these are just the strengths they have shown, and the strange abilities you mentioned are not included. At this point, Kakashi stopped and looked at Chen Tian. Chen Tian is the one who knows the most about that ability here, so asking him is the right choice. That ability is called the Death God. soul deprivation, which can deprive the soul of people with lower strength than oneself, and kill them with one strike, and they have absolutely no ability to resist. Seeing Chen Tian's serious words, others also became cautious, even the most naughty Naruto. As if knowing that he had said something too much, Chen Tian added, if his strength is not as good as yours, he can only make you dizzy for a moment, and there is no lethality. But even if Chen Tian said this, everyone did not relax. Everyone present counted, except Chen Tian, who dared to say that the other party's strength was not as strong as their own. Well, Kagan, who opened the 8 gates of ninjutsu. Seeing this, Kakashi turned around and continued, I encountered an unexpected situation when I came back. That is, the death god cult asked everyone to bring sacrifices. No one can be left behind, whether it is a sacrifice or a civilian. As soon as these words came out, everyone fell into a state of confusion. What is going on? Why did they suddenly change their minds? Could it be? Chen Tian and Kakashi Zahan looked at each other and knew that the three of them were exposed during the day. But the question is, what is the purpose of doing this? Several people racked their brains, but couldn't figure it out. In the end, they could only put this problem behind them and redesignate a new infiltration plan. Chapter 103, Sneaking into Peach Blossom Mountain. There is also a benefit for the other party to do this. That is, it is convenient for him and others to catch them all in one fell swoop. After thinking for a while, Chen Tian came up with an idea. After communicating with everyone and confirming that there was no problem, everyone went back to rest. Fortunately, Chen Tian's would release. The luxury villa is large enough, otherwise these 13 people would not be able to live in it. The next day, everyone got up early, including Chen Tian, who did not sleep in. Just follow yesterday's plan. With that, everyone followed Kakashi and went to the number 8 town they went to yesterday. Kakashi had been here for a day and knew the appearance of the target person, so he naturally led the way. The group came to a mansion and stood down. Kakashi whispered, this is it. Let's get started. Without any delay, Chen Tian took the lead and came to an empty corner and gently jumped in. The others followed closely, including the 9 little ones. Han, the matter of controlling those people is left to you. No problem, Kakashi, you lead the way. Han agreed to Chen Tian's request and sneaked in with Kakashi. Chen Tian and everyone else waited there. After waiting for about 5 minutes, Kakashi and Han came out with a swagger. Everyone is controlled by illusion. No problem, Han said with a smile, patting her delicate hands. When the few people entered the hall, they saw that everyone was standing there in a daze. After making sure that there would be no problems, Chen Tian began to arrange the next action. The 9 of you just need to change your clothes and disguise yourself as the children of this family. Chen Tian pointed at the 9 little ones and said so. As for Kei and Kakashi, you can only pretend to be sacrifices. Other identities are not suitable for you. I will pretend to be the working self of this family, and Han will be my wife. We will just sneak in like this. That's right, their plan is to control an ordinary person with illusion, and then they will change their identities and sneak in and catch the death god cult in one fell swoop. These people will hide their identities under Han's control, which will serve as an insurance. After doing this, Han asked these people to continue their work and wait for the departure tomorrow. The group stayed in the mansion for a whole day and set off on time after dawn the next day. It is worth mentioning that when the news that everyone was going to Teohua Mountain was released, everyone was very enthusiastic and no one was unwilling to go. In this way, more than 3,000 people set off with more than 200 living sacrifices. After walking for 5 hours, these people finally arrived at Teohua Mountain. After seeing them, 2 members of the death god cult came out from the foot of the mountain and led them to a depression on the mountain. Kakashi whispered, this is the only pit on this mountain. The pit can accommodate more than 20,000 people. The most important thing is that the bloody smell here is very strong. At least thousands of people have died. After exchanging a few words, Chen Tian began to observe the surrounding situation. There were 8 teams of people standing in the 8 directions of this pit. Judging from the situation, it should be all the people in the 8 towns. Roughly estimated, there are about 25,000 people here, which is definitely not a small number. Among these people, in addition to the sacrifices with as hen faces, everyone held a ghost mask in their hands and prayed to the big pit. Behind the 8 teams, more than 50 members of the Shinigami cult appeared at some point. They surrounded them vaguely, as if to prevent them from leaving. Before Chen Tian could continue to observe, more than 20 people with Chunin strength came up and took away all the sacrifices, including Kakashi and my guy. In less than 5 minutes, all these people were gathered in the pit. Looking at the situation inside, Chen Tian was immediately furious. 90% of these people below were from the land of fire, but they no longer looked like human beings. Each of them was only skin except for bones, and their eye sockets were sunken, looking like skeletons. Half of them couldn't even stand up, and could only keep crawling on the ground. After everyone gathered, a thin man with a hooked nose came out, and his black robe dragged on the ground. Behind him were 3 people, wearing robes similar to the hooked nose man, but a white hood covered them tightly, and no skin was exposed. Meet the master. May the master always be favored by God and enjoy God's blessing. Meet the master. May the master always be favored by God and enjoy God's blessing. Meet the master. May the master always be favored by God and enjoy God's blessing. Most people knelt down and prostrated themselves on the ground respectfully, their faces extremely fanatical. Only some people in gorgeous clothes were still standing, and they did not go to the ground. But the expressions on their faces were no different from those who were kneeling. Looking at these people's performance, Chen Tian could not help but frown. At this time, the man with the hooked nose had already stood at the highest point, and the 3 people behind him were guarding beside him in the shape of finished products. You, the Sun Country, angered the god of death 12 years ago, and he punished you. After that, you believed in God and made sacrifices every month. Today, God has forgiven your sins. Thank you God for forgiving us, and thank you Master for praying for us. Thank you God for forgiving us, and thank you Master for praying for us. Thank you God for forgiving us, and thank you Master for praying for us. As if they had rehearsed it countless times, these people shouted the same words at the same time, and prostrated themselves to the hook-nosed man. Seeing this, the hook-nosed man nodded with satisfaction, a kind smile on his face, and said, "Since God has forgiven your sins, he will give you divine power. So today, you all need to enter the sacrificial pit, and stand around the sacrifice." After a pause, the hook-nosed man continued, "When God receives the sacrifice, he will give back the divine power to you. Now please enter the sacrificial pit." Listening to this man's deception, Chen Tian felt the slow smell of pyramid schemes coming. But these people were like brainless, all 3 steps and 1 bow, 5 steps and 1 kowtow into the big pit, which made Chen Tian speechless. Are your brains collectively out of balance? Can't you see that you are all going to be sacrificed? Even so, they walked in obediently, and everyone's face was praying. Is there something wrong with this world or with me? Chen Tian felt confused and had no idea what was going on in front of him. It doesn't seem like brainwashing, and it's not controlled by illusions. Why are you so obedient? Han had already led those people into the pit and asked quietly, "Are we going in too?" "No, we absolutely cannot go in. Call Kakashi and Kei out. Everyone is here. Let's kill them all." Thinking of the scene of destruction, Chen Tian dared not enter this sacrificial place. "Come out." Chen Tian shouted, and Kakashi and Kei appeared beside him in an instant. Seeing Chen Tian and others standing out from the crowd, the hook-nosed man was not surprised. Instead, he said, "You are here. Are you ninjas from Konoha?" The other members of the death god cult looked at them seriously and quickly surrounded them. Those who were fooled looked at Chen Tian, and others with doubts, wondering what these people were doing. "You evil cultist, I let you escape last time, but you can't escape this time." Since they had already fallen out, Chen Tian didn't care about anything, and directly showed his original appearance. Kakashi and others did the same. For a moment, the 13 people present completely returned to their original appearance. Chapter 104 Shadow of Death. Damn outsiders, they actually want to destroy the sacrifice of God. Please arrest them all as sacrifices. All those who offend God must die. Please execute them, and let them repent in front of God. No, sinners are not qualified to see God. They must be sentenced to death, and get the punishment they deserve. They can't even ask for death. These civilians glared at them one by one, and their ferocious faces were like evil spirits crawling out of hell, which made the 9 little ones feel cold all over. The hook-nosed man who had ignored them suddenly showed an expression of sudden enlightenment and said, "It's you, a sinner, who forced me to hide here for 12 years. Today, you dare to come to my door. I will definitely make you die without a burial place." For Chen Tian, the hook-nosed man was cruel to the bone. At the beginning, he tricked Chen Tian to the Death God Mountain and wanted to sacrifice Chen Tian, K and Juhi Kunai, but he failed in the end. In order to avoid Konoha's pursuit, he could only come to this broken place to hide. If Chen Tian had died at that time, none of this would have happened. He would have dominated the ninja world long ago. It was all Chen Tian's fault. Chen Tian was dismissive of the words of the hook-nosed man, and was too lazy to say anything to him. "Kakashi, Kuryuhi, my guy, those Chunin and Jonin enemies are left to you. The remaining Genin enemies are for you 9 to deal with." As soon as Chen Tian finished speaking, Kakashi and the other 2 rushed out in an instant, slaughtering those enemies crazily. Although Zyozhi was a little hesitant, he also started killing under the leadership of Neji, Sasuke and Shino. Under Chen Tian's education, the strength of each of these little guys is not simple. 9 people faced a full 50 genin, or genin with special abilities, and it was a one-sided massacre. Fire style, great fire extinguishing. Lightning style, Chidori. Hurricane, double rising dragon. Soft fist, 128 palms. Under a series of explosions, the opponent didn't have time to make a move, and more than 20 people had been killed, leaving only half. These people had no combat experience, nor any combat ability. Apart from being strong, they only knew one move of the God of Death, Soul Deprivation. The power of more than 20 people fighting at the same time was extremely great, but it only made the 9 little ones lose consciousness for a moment. As early as yesterday, Chen Tian had set a seal on all of them, so it was no problem to deal with this level of soul deprivation. However, in just 10 minutes, the 9 little ones had returned to Chen Tian panting, and more than 50 people on the other side all died here. Not bad, well done. Chen Tian praised generously, making all 9 people blush. Compared with Chen Tian and Kakashi and others, they were just playing house, and they were actually praised. At this time, chaos broke out in the memorial pit, and those people struggled to climb out. These people dared to kill members of the church. They must die to apologize. Let's go out and help the adults of the church. I'm going to kill them. They will anger the God of Death by doing this. They must be killed. Apologize. Let them apologize. It is unforgivable to offend the God of Death. If the hook nose had not deliberately deepened the pit, these people might have really climbed out. But now they can only attack Chen Tian with their eyes and words. No matter how hard they try, they can't climb out. After curling his lips in disdain and rubbing the heads of the 9 little guys one by one to make them less nervous, Chen Tian then observed the battle of Kakashi and others. Because the distance between the 20 or so people was too far, the 3 of them had only killed those Chunin level 1s until now. Now, the 3 of them were staring at the 3 guardians next to the hooked nose man, thinking about how to kill these 3 people. Leave this ugly man to me, you just kill the 3 guardians. After saying that, Chen Tian stepped out to block the hooked nose man, allowing Kakashi and others to attack without restraint. Do you still think I'm the same person I used to be? Even if you all come together, you will not be my opponent. I will definitely give you an exciting death. Looking at Chen Tian, the hook-nosed man was extremely excited and was too lazy to care about the lives of others. He just wanted to appreciate the fear on Chen Tian's face, which would give him unprecedented pleasure. Unfortunately, until Kakashi and others killed the 3 guardians one after another, Chen Tian's face was still expressionless, which made the hook-nosed man extremely angry. The God of Death, Shadow is coming. Perhaps he couldn't stand Chen Tian's neglect. The hook-nosed man used his ultimate move without saying a word. Behind him, a shadow of the God of Death that looked exactly like the Shikigami appeared. The shadow's terrifying face faced Chen Tian, and a pair of eyes seemed to have intelligence, flashing greed, as if they had encountered delicious food. Being stared at by the shadow of the God of Death, Chen Tian suddenly felt his hair stand on end, and was shrouded in an inexplicable sense of crisis. Perhaps because he hated Chen Tian so much, or perhaps because of his extremely huge confidence in the shadow of the God of Death, The hawk-nosed man smiled grimly. This is the power I have spent 12 years sacrificing bit by bit. Under this great power, all of you will die. Clenching his fists, the hawk-nosed man showed an infatuated expression, as if he was proud of his powerful strength. After the phantom of the god of death appeared, the civilians instantly quieted down, and knelt down and shouted wildly, "It is our honor to have the god of death come. We swear to defend the glory of God until death." Chen Tian didn't care, but the 9 little ones were sweating coldly because of this fanatical atmosphere. Approaching his teacher inconspicuously, Naruto glanced at Kakashi, who had a serious face since the phantom of the god of death appeared, and asked, "Teacher Kakashi, what is this? Why are they going crazy?" Seeing the 9 little ones fidgeting, he hesitated for a while, and then Kakashi told the story. Konoha has a forbidden technique called Shikifujin, which uses one's own soul to summon the god of death, and let the god of death take away the soul of oneself and the enemy. It is a ninjutsu that will kill both of them. The god of death that appears now is exactly the same as the god of death summoned by Shikifujin. There is no difference at all. As a disciple of the Hokage and one of the pillars of Konoha, Kakashi naturally understands his own ninjutsu, so he is so serious. Hearing Kakashi's words, Hang's pretty face turned pale and asked, "Can this god of death also seal the soul, or is it the kind of seal that cannot be resisted?" She has also heard of Shikifujin. After performing it, no matter how strong the opponent is, it can seal the opponent's soul. Everyone looked at Kakashi, and the worry in their eyes almost became real. But Kakashi nodded and said, "It is likely to be like this." Hong heard the words, and her body shook immediately, and she was about to rush over to help Chen Tian, but was stopped by Kakashi and Kei, who were well prepared. In the current situation, except for Chen Tian, whose strength is unknown, others who go up will be sent to their heads. If Chen Tian lost, they would not be able to escape the pursuit of the god of death, and death would be the inevitable result. In this case, it would be better to leave everything to Chen Tian. Kakashi was full of confidence in Chen Tian. While they were talking, Chen Tian had long been unable to bear the whining of the hawk-nosed man. With a wave of his right hand, he shouted, "Fire style, great fire extinguishment." For a moment, the sky seemed to be burning. The area covered by this flame was more than 10 times that of Naruto, and it was extremely powerful. But the hawk-nosed man smiled sinisterly, drilled into the shadow of the god of death, and let the Hokage cover him. When the flame fell, it seemed that it was not in the same space as the shadow of the god of death, and it just passed through without causing any harm. "Ha ha ha ha, I have the shadow of the god of death here, you can't hurt me. Lord Death is immortal. Eternal. Lord Death is immortal. Eternal. Lord Death is immortal. Eternal." Chapter 105 Special Golden Card. The cheers of these people angered Hong, who was worried about Chen Tian, and she immediately formed seals with her hands. Illusion. Nirvana essence technique. Countless feathers fell from the sky, just covering the area where these people were, and everyone who was touched by the feathers fainted. In a short while, more than 25,000 people fell to the ground under Hang's illusion. After doing all this, Hang opened her red lips slightly and gasped for air. The large-scale illusion that knocked down so many people had exhausted all the chakra in her body. Fortunately, these were ordinary people, otherwise she would not be able to do this. Hinata and Xianshan supported Hang obediently, and everyone's eyes were on Chen Tian. Looking at the other party's arrogant appearance, Chen Tian showed a thoughtful expression. Although the previous Heoho extinguishment passed through the phantom of the god of death, Chen Tian could feel that the two sides were actually in contact. Like the 6 paths mode, chakra cannot cause damage? Then I'll give you a fairy art tailed beast ball and try it. Senjutsu, supersized tailed beast ball. A silver white ball appeared in front of Chen Tian's chest, spinning randomly without any rules, and getting bigger and bigger. Seeing that Chen Tian still wanted to struggle, the hawk-nosed man laughed happily. "Ha ha ha, it's useless. I don't think anything you can do can hurt me." In order to strike Chen Tian and avenge his escape and wandering in the past, the hawk-nosed man not only did not move, but stood there and looked at Chen Tian with interest. Suddenly possessing powerful power, he had expanded to the point of being lost and thought he was invincible. When the Senjutsu tailed beast ball in front of him reached 10 meters in size, Chen Tian aimed at the phantom of the god of death and shot it fiercely. Boom. The moment it touched the phantom of the god of death, the Senjutsu tail beast ball exploded. For a moment, the sky and the earth changed color, and the entire country of the sun shook, almost causing Kakashi and others to fall. The strong white light produced after the explosion deprived everyone of their sight, making them white in front of their eyes and unable to see anything. Until they were about to shed tears, the white light slowly weakened. After the explosion, Kakashi and the others looked towards Chen Tian's location, but the scene they saw made them speechless. You must be kidding me, how can a person do such a thing? Naruto and Sasuke murmured at the same time, looking at the place in disbelief. The others were not much better, rubbing their eyes one by one, thinking that they were seeing things. But in the end, they still accepted this fact, and the 9 children looked at Chen Tian with admiration. In front of Chen Tian, there was a big pit with a radius of 500 meters, which seemed to have opened up the entire island. Seawater had flowed into the pit at some point, forming a lake in the island. Chen Tian knew the damage he had caused, and there was nothing to be surprised about. As soon as the light disappeared, he set his sights on the hook-nosed man. At this time, he was floating in the seawater, very similar to a dead fish with its belly turned up. But Chen Tian was sure that he was not dead, because he still had a faint vitality, but was just seriously injured. As for the phantom of the god of death, it had disappeared long ago, and should have been destroyed under the tail beast jade. After all, the combined power of the 6 paths sage could not withstand the tail beast ball, so it is understandable that a strand of the power of the Grim Reaper could not. After waiting for a long time, Kakashi and the others finally reacted and all came to Chenshin's side. Only Han rushed to Chenshin regardless of anything. She was really scared before. As soon as she turned around, she was thrown into Han's arms. Chenshin didn't know where to put her hands. Suddenly, she noticed a wet mark on her shoulder. Han was sobbing in her arms. With a ruthless heart, he hugged Han's jade shoulders with both hands and patted her back gently. Kakashi and Kei smiled at each other and went to salvage the hook-nosed man. The 9 little ones opened their eyes wide, their eyes full of shock. Aren't we here to complete the mission? Why did you two just hug each other like this? After hugging for a full 2 minutes, Han stopped sobbing and suddenly realized what she had done. Like a little rabbit, she jumped out of Chenshin's arms. Her cheeks were red as fire. She rolled her eyes at Chenshin, buried her head deeply in her chest, and didn't dare to look at the 9 little ones behind her. Seeing this expression, Chenshin was suddenly stunned and forgot to look away. Han, who was originally a queen, showed this little girl's attitude, and the contrast made him completely irresistible. But seeing Han's expression, that she wanted to hide herself underground, Chenshin still shifted his gaze, as if nothing had happened. If he wanted to look back, he could look at it casually. Although he had never been in a relationship, Han was like this. If he still couldn't react, he would be a fool. Chenshin also had a good impression of Han. This was the woman he was most familiar with besides Kushina. The phrase love grows over time is not said in vain. They have known each other for more than 10 years, and they have experienced many life and death crises in the middle. That's why Kakashi and Gei showed such expressions, without any surprise. Although the two didn't say it on weekdays, it was revealed in their words and deeds. Even Gei could see it. After Han barely regained his composure, Kakashi and Kei came over with the hook-nosed man who looked like a dead dog, with smiles of blessing on their faces. Kei even gave Chenshin a thumbs up in the blind spot of Han's vision, and the meaning was obvious. Chenshin smiled triumphantly, completely looking down on Kei, a single dog. With a bang, Kakashi threw the hook-nosed man in front of Chenshin. What should we do with this man? Do we need to take him back for interrogation? No need. Shaking his head, Chenshin said, I almost know what his situation is. After saying that, he casually threw out the ****** Rai sword and ended the life of the hook-nosed man. In fact, Chenshin didn't say that the reason for not taking him back was because it was too dangerous. This man can summon the phantom of the god of death, so he can perform soul deprivation. Except for Chenshin, no one can withstand it. In this case, taking him back to Konoha together, wouldn't that be a bad teammate? Kakashi also considered this point, so he asked such a question. Now Chenshin knows the whole story, which is really a pleasant surprise. At the moment when the hook-nosed man died, a golden card suddenly fell beside him. Chen Tian blinked in disbelief. He hadn't seen a card for more than 10 years. This time it was golden. It was too exciting. He walked over without hesitation and picked up the card, carefully observing the type of card. Golden card is a special type of card. After fusion, the soul will be greatly strengthened. Do you want to fuse it? This was the first time Chen Tian saw a soul type card, but thinking that the person who dropped the card was a fanatic of the god of death, it didn't seem surprising. Fusion. As soon as the voice fell, Chen Tian felt his mind clear, as if he had stayed up for 7 days and nights and had a good sleep. In addition, he felt that his memory, comprehension, etc. had improved a lot. Things that he couldn't understand before were presented to him naturally. Before Chen Tian could continue to enjoy it, the chakra in his body suddenly rioted, and more. Sensing this, Chen Tian was not surprised but happy. He said to everyone, "Wait for me for a moment," and then he closed his eyes impatiently. A group of people were left confused and could only stare at each other. Suddenly, Minato covered her eyes and exclaimed, "Teacher Chen Tian's chakra is growing rapidly." He was almost shocked by the huge chakra after just a glance. Kakashi and others understood instantly, and after looking at each other, the three of them divided into 3 directions and began to guard. Chapter 106. Destruction of the Island. Chen Tian had no other feelings at this time. He just felt like he was full. More and more chakra was produced deep in his cells, so much that he could hardly contain it, as if his body was about to explode. This lasted for more than 2 minutes, and his cells seemed to have changed from a cup to a basin, and he felt much more relaxed. All the endless chakra was stored in the cells, and Chen Tian's strength officially broke through. Kakashi and others who were guarding around felt a sudden strong pressure, as if a 1,000-pound boulder was pressing on them. Fortunately, this feeling was fleeting, and did not continue. When they looked over, Chen Tian had already opened his eyes slowly. Although there was no violent expression, the joy in his eyes could not be hidden. After Kakashi and others congratulated him, everyone cleaned up and got busy. Chen Tian first came to the side and built a huge ship that could accommodate 3,000 people. The ship has 5 floors. The bottom 4 floors are for the captured Fire Country fishermen to live in, and the 5th floor is for them to live in. After he did all this, Kakashi brought the fishermen who were crying with joy here, and Kei was responsible for directing him to board the ship. This process lasted for 3 hours. In order to deal with these fishermen who knelt down at every turn, everyone was almost exhausted. As for the natives, Chen Tian and others were too lazy to take a second look. They were still lying in the pit. After all this was done, the group began to return by boat. After more than 10 minutes of departure, Chen Tian said hello to everyone and came to the top of the boat alone. This island still needs to be destroyed. They are no longer human, but beasts. Thinking of the oily green eyes of those people before, Chen Tian didn't dare to imagine what would happen after these people left the island. If they entered the Land of Fire, more than 20,000 people would make trouble in the Land of Fire together. I'm afraid that 50,000 to 60,000 people would die. Super large-tailed beast Jade Haelan. A sea blue-tailed beast Jade condensed in front of Chen Tian. Because it did not require fairy chakra, this tailed beast Jade was more than twice the previous one. Performing water escape in the sea around can greatly reduce the consumption of chakra. But even so, Chen Tian's chakra comparable to that of the tailed beast was consumed at once. When Chen Tian was unable to support himself, the blue-tailed beast ball in front of him expanded to a terrifying degree of more than 50 meters. The target was locked on the center of the island, and the tailed beast ball broke the speed of sound and sped away. After doing all this, Chen Tian's feet softened, and he almost fell to the ground. Hang appeared in time to support him. Looking at the beautiful face in front of him, Chen Tian said, "Go to the cabin first. There will be a big wave coming later." Hang nodded and helped him back to the cabin quickly. When he went in, Kakashi and the 9 little ones looked at him, as if he were a monster. Just when they were about to say something, an explosion sounded. Boom boom like thunder on a sunny day. Everyone on the boat felt pain in their eardrums, and the next moment they couldn't hear anything. They could only watch each other's mouths open and close, not knowing what the other party was saying. The fishermen were a little panicked, but Kakashi and the 9 little ones who knew the inside story couldn't wait to look at the Kingdom of the Sun. At this moment, they felt that they had seen the most shocking scene in their lives, and they would remember it, even when they were old. The island more than 10 kilometers away from them was hit fiercely in the center by the tailed beast Jade. After the explosion, the island seemed to be a piece of cake, falling into the sea one by one, and disappeared from then on. For a full half an hour, there was nothing in front of everyone, except the endless sea level. An island sank right in front of them, and the reason was just an attack. Is this something a ninja can do? I'm afraid only God can do it. Everyone had such thoughts in their minds. Kakashi asked in a hoarse voice, Zaoshin, have you reached the level of the first generation? Everyone knew that Chen Tian had a great future, but he suddenly showed such strength, even Kakashi couldn't accept it. On the contrary, K was full of fighting spirit, and he wanted to fight with Chen Tian immediately, to experience his full strength. But thinking of the sequel of the 8th gate of the 8 gates, he had to give up this idea helplessly. The 9 children stared at Chen Tian blankly, and even forgot to blink their eyes. Their brains were blank, nothing. Only Hang's performance was completely different from others. She didn't show any shock or surprise. There was only one emotion on her pretty face, and that was pride. That is, no one paid attention to her, otherwise they would definitely see that it was written on her face. My man is so powerful. After pondering for a while, Chen Tian nodded. I'm just entering this realm for the first time, but if you count all the means, I should be about the same as the first generation. Senju Hashirama's strength is definitely more than the initial stage of the Super Shadow, but he only knows one would escape. In terms of realm alone, Chen Tian is not as good as him, but Chen Tian knows too many means, such as would escape, tailed beast Jade, Manger Ki Sharingan, etc., and his combat power is definitely not much worse than Senju Hashirama. However, Chen Tian himself knows that he is not weaker than the first generation Hokage when he tries hard, but he is not as good as him at ordinary times. Because the first generation only has one would escape, and all his abilities are in would escape. But he has too many abilities, and has not formed a unique system, so he can't exert his maximum combat power. But even so, it is enough to make Kakashi fall into ecstasy. Chen Tian is only 19 years old this year, and with his strength, he can protect Konoha for decades. Even Kakashi wanted to nominate Chen Tian as the 5th Hokage when Minato abdicated. After all, Minato was almost 20 years older than Chen Tian. When Minato was old, Chen Tian would still be in his prime. I wonder if Minato would clean up the mess, if he knew Kakashi was looking forward to his abdication. Along the way, Chen Tian gave some pointers to the 9 little ones, helped Kakashi and others, and got in touch with Hang. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye, and they finally returned to the land of fire. They put the fishermen on the shore, and gave them the big ship. Chen Tian built another small boat, and flew to Konoha. This mission took more than 10 days, to go back and forth. Although it was faster than expected, it was still a question whether Naruto and others could catch up with the Chunin exam. With Chen Tian's fastest travel, the journey that would have taken 2 days only took 7 hours. When they returned to Konoha, it was already dark, and they all rushed into the Hokage's office. Before he could report the mission, Chen Tian immediately asked about the Chunin exam. Knowing that the first exam of the Chunin exam would start tomorrow, Chen Tian breathed a sigh of relief, and arranged all 9 little ones to go in. After doing this, he talked to Minato about the relevant matters of the Death God cult. For the Death God cult, Chen Tian referred to the evil god cult of Fiden, and felt that the two sides should be similar. He told Minato all his own handling methods and guesses, went home with Minato to have a meal, and returned to his home leisurely with Zhao Linglang. His affairs were almost handled, and he could rest for a while. After Chen Tian left, Minato and Kushina were full of joy. Chen Tian could become so powerful, which was what they wanted to see. Both of them regarded Chen Tian as their own brother, and naturally hoped that Chen Tian would get better and better. Especially after hearing Naruto talk about Chen Tian and Hang, Kushina decided to find Yuhimaku tomorrow, to confirm the marriage as quickly as possible. Chen Tian didn't know that he and Hang had just confirmed their relationship, and Kushina had already proposed to him. Chapter 107 Becoming a Hot Toy. The next morning, Shine slept until noon before waking up, but Naruto, Sasuke and the others had already gone to take the Chunin exam. This time, the scale of the Chunin exam was unprecedentedly grand, and all the 5 major ninja villages were included. In the first written test, when Naruto and the 12 young ninjas entered, there were already thousands of people sitting in the examination room. Being stared at by thousands of people, they were not panicked, but wanted to laugh. What a joke. We have experienced being stared at by more than 20,000 people in the land of the sun. What are you ugly people like? Ino felt a little uncomfortable and saw that the eyes of the other 9 people were a little different, and even the most shy Hinata was indifferent. What happened? Unfortunately, no one explained her doubts, and the Chunin exam began soon. The examiner was still Marino Ibiki, and his ferocious face successfully frightened the genin. Unlike before, even Naruto copied the answers easily, and there was no blank question. Without the interference of the Ninetales chakra, Naruto is an absolute genius. It is not too easy to learn a detection ninjutsu. It only took half the time for the 12 little strong men to complete the questions, and they looked at the others leisurely. The first test passed so uneventfully. More than 500 people were eliminated from more than 1,000 people, and the remaining 500 people could participate in the Death Forest test on the second day. When Konoha held the Chunin test, the scattered Akatsuki organizations in the Rain Country also gathered together. Nagato has developed the Samsara almost to the point that he calls himself a god and thinks that no one can defeat him. In the first memory after the reunion of the Akatsuki organization, Nagato determined the future development plan. First, Black Zetsu began to collect information about the tailed beasts and determine the location of the tailed beasts. Second, each member of the Akatsuki organization began to make money to contribute to the expansion of the organization. Third, Uchiha pretended to be a fae and joined the Akatsuki organization and became a glorious intern member. Fourth, everyone should pay attention to Chenshin's intelligence, report the news in time, and eliminate him if there is a chance. Chenshin's threat was too great. He had the strength of a cage at such a young age. He might be able to threaten himself in the future. Although this possibility was not great, Nagato still wanted to strangle him in the cradle. When Konan heard Nagato's order, his heart suddenly skipped a beat. He secretly touched the flying thunder god Kune that Chenshin gave him, and he kept hesitating and wondering in his heart. The others took the order and left. The Akatsuki organization once again launched activities. But these major ninja villages did not know that they went to Konoha to participate in the Chunin exam, just to ask Konoha to investigate. Over the years, with Minato's continuous development, the number of ninjas in Konoha has increased several times. Konoha alone can take out 60,000 to 70,000 ninjas, leaving other villages far behind. After thinking for a moment, Minato nodded and agreed, and sent out the Anbu to start the investigation. In fact, Minato has never given up investigating the Akatsuki organization over the years, but the progress has not been great. Now it's just putting this matter on the table. Why not? Time soon came to the second day, and all the genin who participated in the exam gathered outside the Death Forest. The examiner, Mitera Shianko, ate 3 color meatballs, and took out the life and death certificate, and handed it to everyone. After explaining the rules, he threw the rest to the Chunin who was assisting. After solving these trivial matters, the second round of the Chunin exam, the Death Forest, officially began. In this 5-day exam, the 9 children who went to the land of the sun with Chenshin were influenced by Chenshin. As soon as they entered the exam room, they went straight to the central tower, ready to wait for their prey. As a result, when they arrived, the 9 people looked at each other in surprise. No one expected that the 9 of them had the same idea. After some negotiations, they divided the central tower into 3 parts, and each team was stationed on one side. As long as the team came from the direction they were stationed, it would be their own prey. The 9 people guarded for 5 days until the end of the exam, and each of them walked in with a pile of scrolls. However, they did not do what Chenshin did, and only robbed those who wanted to break in. Those who waited obediently still had scrolls in their hands. For example, Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji. When Shikamaru's team came over, they saw the 9 little ones blocking the door openly, and their hearts were broken. We worked hard to get the scroll and came here, but you have a bunch of them around you? If you had the ability, you should have said it earlier. If you had said it earlier, wouldn't I have mixed with you? During these 5 days, Chen Tian's name once again resounded throughout the 5 major ninja villages and became the dream of all the genin. According to a Konoha genin who did not want to be named, these 9 people were originally at the same level as them. But not long ago, these 9 people followed the Konoha monster Chen Tian to practice, and now they can fight against 100 at best. For a time, everyone regarded Chen Tian as a gold medal lecturer and wanted to listen to Chen Tian's class. After spreading this news, the genin who did not want to be named disappeared quietly. But in the Konoha orphanage, there was a young ninja who looked at the back mountain of Konoha with respect in his eyes. Those orphans called this young man Brother Kabuto. Soon, this Chunin test ended, and the result was not beyond Chen Tian's expectations. The 9 little ones took the top 9 places directly, releasing super standard ninjutsu one by one, and they looked like they were not a genin at all. If it weren't for their young age, the ninjas from other villages would have thought that this was a disguised jonin from Konoha. When these people knew the ins and outs of the matter, they wanted to move Chen Tian back to their own village, as if he were their ancestor. We don't need you to fight, just teach a few disciples casually. Unfortunately, they can only think about it, and this kind of thing is absolutely impossible. After the Chunin exam, the 12 little strong men of Konoha were promoted to Chunin at the same time. Originally, Naruto wanted to learn from Chen Tian to become a 10,000-year genin, but after seeing the hideous stick in Kushina's hand, he didn't struggle at all and decided to become a glorious Chunin on the spot. After the Chunin exam, Konoha once again returned to peace, and Chen Tian also started his new salted fish life. The only difference from before is that now he occasionally teaches Naruto and others. Most of the rest of the time is spent with Hang and I, constantly spreading dog food to others. A year passed like this, and Chen Tian received an invitation. This was an invitation from Kakashi, because he was going to marry Yuan Yelin in a month. Finally, Kakashi is getting married, but what about Kei? Looking at the invitation in his hand, Chen Tian suddenly remembered this question. Kakashi and Kei are good friends, so is Kei going to go solo now? Now Kei is the only one who is still single. Let's find him a girlfriend. Holding Hang's soft and boneless little hand, Chen Tian showed a chilling smile. However, considering Kei's clothes, this problem seems to be difficult to solve. Kei is not ugly, but he only wears green tights and always has a watermelon-shaped head, which is a problem. Chen Tian and Hang sat together, and the two had a heated discussion on this issue, leaving Linglong shivering beside them. Chapter 108 Kakashi's Wedding. Kakashi and Chen Tian have a very good relationship. When the other gets married, Chen Tian naturally needs a presentable gift. But after thinking about it, it seems that there is really nothing suitable. According to Kakashi's hobby, giving a paradise is the best, but Chen Tian is afraid that Lin will directly explode the three-tail. Kakashi doesn't seem to have any special needs for other things. After discussing with Hang, Chen Tian didn't get any good suggestions, so he could only think about it himself. According to Konoha's custom, just giving a small gift will be enough, but their relationship does not allow this to happen. 7 days passed like this, and Chen Tian hadn't decided what gift to give, and Kakashi's wedding had already begun. Helplessly, Chen Tian could still go and take a look first, and make a decision at that time. Anyway, he had everything in his personal space. Holding Hang's hand, the two soon arrived at Kakashi's house. Meeting Kei at the door by chance, Chen Tian couldn't help asking, "Kei, what gift have you prepared?" Hahaha, I knew you hadn't decided what to give. Patting the gift box in his hand, Kei smiled confidently. I personally sewed 3 sets of tights for Kakashi, one for him and Lin, and one for their future child. Suddenly, Kakashi and Lin, as well as an unknown child wearing Kei's green tights, took a family photo together in Chen Tian's mind. Chen Tian shuddered and hurriedly got rid of the idea. Hang, who was standing by, quietly moved away from Kei, fearing that she would receive such a gift when she got married in the future. The two of them chatted for a few words, and Kakashi had come out to greet them. When they entered the room, they saw that in addition to the 3 of them, Minato and Kushina had already arrived. In addition, there were Acha Fugaku, Hyuga Hayashi, Narashikaku, Akimichi Choza and others. Almost all the big names in Konoha were present, and chatted with each other. Seeing Chen Tian come in, they all greeted Chen Tian, but didn't talk much. This is Kakishi's wedding, not a good place to talk, unless they are not afraid of Chenshin kicking them out. Before Kakashi left, Chenshin quickly stuffed a beautiful wooden box into his hand. This was Chenshin's gift. The group of people chatted thoroughly, and when Chenshin and Han were whispering, the wedding officially began. Yuan Eilen, wearing a white wedding dress, walked out and immediately amazed everyone. The white wedding dress set off Lin's smooth skin. Under the black bangs were black pearl-like eyes. The face without marks was very tender, just like someone who walked out of a painting. Han looked at Lin's appearance. Her eyes were full of longing and envy, and she held Chenshin's hand and clenched it unconsciously. Her rosy lips pursed together, looking at Chenshin pitifully. Touching Han's hair with a smile, Chenshin said gently, soon you will wear the most beautiful wedding dress and become the most beautiful bride in the world. Hearing Chenshin's words, Han smiled, and suddenly it seemed like spring flowers blooming, and the whole room was much brighter. As the wedding progressed, time soon reached night, and Chenshin and others got up and left. Holding Han's tender little hand, the two went straight back to Chenshin's home. From this day on, in addition to himself and Xiao Linglong, there was one more person in Chenshin's home, that is Yuhi Han. Just when Chenshin and Han were in love, he sensed that the flying thunder god Kunai left for Xiaoyan and was triggered. After quickly explaining to Minato, Chenshin's figure disappeared in Konoha. The next moment, he appeared in a forest. He looked around at the first time, but felt that this place was a little familiar. Isn't this the Land of Fire? What's the matter with Sister Xiaoyan calling me here? Seeing Xiaoyan standing alone not far away, neither injured nor with enemies, Chenshin was a little confused. Xiaoshan, Nagato wants to kill you. You should hide in Konoha for the time being, and don't come out. After throwing down a sentence, Xiaoyan left quickly without stopping. As early as a month ago, when Nagato gave the order, she was entangled in this matter and didn't know what to do. As long as she wanted, she could summon all the people in the Akatsuki organization at any time, and then summon Chenshin with the flying thunder god Kunai. In this way, Chenshin would surely die, and Nagato's order could be completed on the spot. But she couldn't bear to do it when she thought of the days when she treated Chenshin as a younger brother. Konan was an orphan. She had no relatives since she was a child and only had two playmates, Nagato and Yahiko. But during the month in the rain country, Chenshin had become her younger brother and her relative. So, after thinking for a month, Konan left the rain country alone, went deep into the forest near Konoha, and summoned Chenshin. After integrating the card dropped by the god of death, Chenshin's thinking ability increased significantly. Seeing the back of Konan leaving, he instantly understood the whole story. He burst out with powerful power and instantly came to Konan and stopped her. Sister Konan, you forgot to bring this kunai. Handing her the kunai that Konan had just thrown there, Chenshin showed a sunny smile on his face. Konan looked at the kunai in a daze, and her outstretched right hand trembled a little. With this kunai in hand, she could kill Chenshin at any time. It was because she was afraid of doing such a thing that she threw away the kunai. But now Chenshin handed it to her again, which made her heart extremely confused. Sister Xiaonan, I know what you are worried about, I believe you. Chenshin's sincere smile sprinkled in Xiaonan's heart like sunshine, making her trembling hands firm. If Xiaonan knew what Chenshin was thinking, she would probably beat Chenshin's dog head right now. Since his strength reached the super shadow, Chenshin has not taken Nagato seriously. If Xiaonan really did that, I'm afraid that the Akatsuki organization would be wiped out on the spot, and no one would survive. After that, the two talked for a while, and Chenshin sent Xiaonan out of the Land of Fire to prevent her from being discovered by the Enbu of Konoha. After Xiaonan left, a flying thunder god returned to his hut, thinking about when to go to the Land of Rain to learn about the current situation of the Akatsuki organization. Although Xiaonan came to inform the news, she did not tell Chenshin any information about the Akatsuki organization, so he had to explore it by himself. But when he wanted to go to the rain country, he clearly felt a pair of eyes staring at him, and there was a hint of murderous intent flashing across his eyes, which made his hair stand on end. Chenshin's strength is different from before, and he can sense this feeling very clearly. I didn't expect that I haven't left Konoha for so many years. When I left before, there was nothing to do, but when I just wanted to go to the rain country for a walk, you spotted me. You are really hardworking. Chen Tian showed a cold smile at the corner of his mouth, and the sand in his cold eyes was filled with sand, almost condensed into substance. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109, The Conspiracy of the Six Paths. With his current strength, the only one who can put him in a fatal crisis is the Six Paths Sage. The others are still lying in the Pure Land and have not come to the ninja world. This makes Chen Tian's murderous intent against the Six Paths Sage so strong that he can't wait to take action immediately. But with insufficient strength, Chen Tian can only temporarily suppress this idea. After calming down, he began to deduce the conspiracy of the Six Paths Sage. Yes, it is a conspiracy. After the soul is strengthened, Chen Tian's brain is much smarter than before. Thinking back to the original work, the first reaction is conspiracy. All this is not as simple as Black Zetsu saving his mother, but arranged by the Six Paths Sage for some purpose. Since I started to destroy the plot, the Six Paths Sage has come out to interfere with me many times and wanted to get rid of me. This proves that he has been observing the ninja world on the edge of the Pure Land and knows a lot about the ninja world. Even if I don't talk about myself, in the original work, the Six Paths appeared in time to give Naruto and Sasuke strength. Who would believe that he didn't observe? If you were a few seconds late, the two saviors would have died. If you were a few seconds early, the situation would not be so critical, and you would not get the best effect. According to the time calculation, the Six Paths Sage has been dead for 1,000 years. In this way, he has also observed the ninja world for 1,000 years. With Black Zetsu's ability, he could hide under the Six Paths Sage's nose for 1,000 years without being discovered. It is possible, as long as he hides in one place for 1,000 years. But Black Zetsu has done a lot of things, and he also induced Uchiha Madara, the reincarnation of the Six Paths Sage's son, and tampered with Uchiha's message. Indra and Ashura's chakra must be the focus of the Six Paths Sage. Black Zetsu's jump is possible not to be discovered by the Six Paths Sage. No matter how you think about it, it is impossible. Six Paths must have discovered Black Zetsu's traces. As the biological son of Six Paths Kaguya, would he not recognize Black Zetsu after seeing him? This is also impossible. Therefore, Black Zetsu's actions are all tacitly approved by the Six Paths Sage, or they are secretly guided by the Six Paths Sage. Otherwise, Kaguya can't break the Chibaku Tensei. Why does Black Zetsu know how to unlock the seal? After drinking the last sip of tea in the cup, Chen Tian took the teacup and began to think again. According to the original plot, the Six Paths Sage finally used Black Zetsu to successfully release Kaguya. But after Kaguya came out, he gave Naruto and Sasuke his power and resealed Kaguya. But what is the purpose of this back and forth? Chen Tian couldn't figure it out. Is it just to give your mother a new home? To make her feel good? It can be said that Kaguya has a problem sealing her mother with her own hands. But Six Paths' younger brother Otsutsuki Hamura left his offspring on the moon to accompany Kaguya. What did you do, Six Paths Sage? It seems that he has done nothing except unifying the ninja world by himself. Obviously, he is an ambitious man. In this case, he released Kaguya and resealed her, which must be possible for certain interests. After analyzing to this point, the information known to Chen Tian is not enough for Chen Tian to continue analyzing. What is the point of just releasing and sealing Kaguya? Anyway, all his own power is used. While thinking about it, Chen Tian suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Both times the Six Paths Sage used his own power to seal. What is the difference? When the seal was first made, he and Otsutsuki Hamura did it together, so there must be Hamura's power in the seal. After the seal was remade, although it was Naruto and Sasuke who did it, the power belonged to him alone. No, the Six Paths Sage can't be afraid that Hamura will release Kaguya. That's impossible. Shaking his head, Chen Tian rethought from another direction. First of all, when the Six Paths Sage was sealed for the first time, he was still alive and had a physical body. But when the seal was sealed for the second time, he was left with only his soul, and his strength became much weaker, so he had to rely on Naruto and Sasuke to do it. In summary, when the Six Paths Sage died, he wanted to expel Hamura's power and use his own power to seal Kaguya. In this way, he could get some benefits from Kaguya in this seal. Thinking of this, Chen Tian suddenly understood. Although he didn't know what the Six Paths Sage wanted to get, Chen Tian already knew his purpose. Want to seal Kaguya again? I will let you seal someone who can explode cards. With a hearty smile, Chen Tian had already made up his mind. When Naruto and Sasuke were about to seal Kaguya, he would kill Kaguya first. In this way, not only could the cards be exploded, but the plan of the Six Paths Sage could also be destroyed. It was simply killing two birds with one stone. Dare to target me, this time I will make you plan for 1,000 years, and then destroy it in one day. Chen Tian thought viciously in his heart, but he didn't dare to say it out loud. Who knows if the Six Paths Sage will hear it after he said it out. Didn't he hear it when he went to the rain country before? As for the saying that Kaguya is immortal, don't joke about it. She just has a long lifespan, not that she can't be killed. Otherwise why would she escape and come to the ninja world? If she really wants to be immortal, then what's there to be afraid of? Just go head to head with Otsutsuki Momoshiki. Anyway, she won't die, so she can just go anywhere. In Chen Tian's memory, there are many strong people who are countless times stronger than the Six Paths, and no one is really immortal. As long as the power is strong enough, there is no one I can't kill. After making sure that he could make the Six Paths Sage fail, the previous frustration suddenly disappeared without a trace, and Chen Tian even hoped that time would pass faster. Then he would be able to see the Six Paths Sage's angry expression, which was interesting to think about. After that incident, Chen Tian had been staying in Konoha peacefully and would not leave Konoha unless there was a special situation. He did not feel the gaze of the Six Paths Sage again. He teased Hong every day and taught Zio Linglong to practice, and his life was very happy because he had tried it out. As long as he did not get close to the rain country and did not take the initiative to change the Six Paths Sage's script, the Six Paths Sage would not pay attention to him. Maybe he wanted to take action at a price, otherwise he would not have used Naruto and Sasuke specifically. This matter was simple for Chen Tian. Anyway, he also wanted Kaguya to come out. If the fourth war was gone, where would he pick up so many high quality cards, and how could he enter the Six Paths? The most important thing was that Chen Tian wanted to kill Kaguya at once, and no matter what the Six Paths Sage's purpose was, he would never be able to achieve it. You are so petty. If you want to kill me, I will kill you first. Even if I don't have the ability to kill you for the time being, I will never let you off easily. Chen Tian made up his mind viciously. But soon, Chen Tian's leisurely days were broken because a mission came to Konoha, giving Chen Tian hope of helping Kei get out of being single. Chapter 110, Ghost Country Mission. The demon Wuliang of the demon country is about to break the seal. If the Wuliang is really allowed to come into the world, the entire ninja world will face doomsday, and humans will have no space to survive. Looking at the handwritten letter from Shan, the witch of the demon country, Chen Tian sneered. It's just a Wuliang. After the Fourth World War, how many people can't deal with this reptile? Even now, if Wuliang dares to come to Konoha, there must be more than a dozen people who can kill him. Not to mention the 8 level strongmen in the past. Can't the new generation of Hatake Kakashi, Might Guy, Uchiha Shizu, and Uchiha Itachi deal with a Wuliang? But after thinking about it, Chen Tian still said, I accept this mission, but I want Gei's team to go with me. Although Minato was puzzled, he still nodded and agreed, and sent the Anbu to call Gei. After a while, Chen Tian and Gei took Niji, Shianchan and Rocky to set off. Looking at Gei beside him, Chen Tian secretly repented in his heart. Naruto, don't blame your uncle. Anyway, your wife is destined to be Hinata, so let's give Shian to Gei. Shian is a witch from the land of demons. She has the ability to seal monsters and predict the future. The prophecy has never failed so far. Sealing monsters requires the cost of life. Those who are predicted to die by her can only survive by leaving her side, which leads to her weird personality, poisonous tongue but kind heart. Those words can make people angry and spit blood to death. For such people, Chen Tian thinks she is just at some deer, and it takes iron-blooded tenderness to resolve. The most iron-blooded and least believer in fate in the whole Konoha is my guy. There is absolutely no problem leaving it to him. After the sparks are generated between the two, he will kill the reptile Wuliang himself, and Shine will not have to be sealed. Gay also gets a girlfriend. It's perfect. Thinking of this, Chen Tian laughed unconsciously, causing several people to look at him strangely. He found a reason to prevaricate, and the group officially set off. Konoha is not close to the land of demons. Even at their speed, it would take several days to travel. It was already 5 days later when they arrived at the land of demons. The dusty group found a place to wash up at the waiter's invitation. After a night's rest, Kei took Xianshan and the other two to protect Xian, while Chenshin left alone. His goal was to kill Wuliang and give Xian and Kei a chance to get along, so he didn't go. If he was there, Xian's prophecy would definitely change, and the sparks between her and Kei would not appear. After leaving alone, Chenshin went to the mountain, where Wuliang was sealed first, and used the perception ninjutsu to sense Wuliang's breath. It's at the level of cage, and it's not that powerful, but the immortal body is more difficult to deal with. No wonder Naruto spent so much effort in the original work. Retracting his hand on the ground, Chenshin had an idea of Wuliang's strength in his heart. He strolled not far from the mountain, and waited for Kei, Shine and others to come. Naruto could kill the monsters, so Chenshin didn't believe he couldn't do it. After waiting here for 2 days, on the 3rd day, Chenshin saw Kei running for his life with Xian on his back, and countless monsters were chasing him. Although Xianshan, Ningxi, Xiaoli and the other two tried their best to stop him, they couldn't resist the fierce momentum of the other party. Chenshin watched Kei take Xian into the sealed land, leaving only Xianshan, Ningxi and others to defend, and then he suddenly accelerated and came to the side of the 3 little ones. Teacher Chenshin, you are finally here. We can't stand it anymore. Seeing Chenshin appear, Xianshan and the other two were relieved. As long as Chenshin is here, these monsters will be useless, even if they are hundreds of times more. They have seen Chenshin show his power, and they have such mysterious confidence. Okay, you retreat behind me, and let me deal with it. Patting Xianshan's bun, Chenshin said gently. Seeing that the 3 people retreated behind him, Chenshin mobilized the natural energy in his body and slapped the monsters. Immortal fire escape, great fire extinguishing. A huge fire fell from the sky. Under the strengthening of natural energy, these flames appeared in a white halo, and even the space began to wrinkle. Endless howling sounds rang out, and the monsters in the flames were all on fire, and they fell to the ground and squirmed one by one. Immortal fire escape, great fire extinguishing. Immortal fire escape, great fire extinguishing. Immortal fire escape, great fire extinguishing. The great fire extinguishing was thrown out, as if it didn't cost money or natural energy, and the 4 people of Chenshin were all covered in flames. Xianshan and others looked at Chenshin with shining eyes, and their admiration could not be concealed at all. Especially Xianshan, the little girl, her eyes began to sparkle. These monsters with no IQ didn't understand fear at all, and they rushed into the flames one after another. Whenever a monster turned into ashes, the back would immediately replenish it and strive to turn it into ashes as soon as possible. But Chenshin used the immortal fire escape, and with their flesh, they could not affect the burning of the flames at all. For a full 10 minutes, as these monsters continued to rush forward, none of the original tens of thousands of monsters was left standing. Around Chen Tian and the other 4, the grey-white ashes of the monsters piled up high, like 4 dams, surrounding them. Wind escape, big breakthrough. Chen Tian waved his hand to summon a gust of wind, blowing the ashes into the woods and turning them into nutrients. This land will be more lush next year. All solved. Let's go in to support Kei. He can't seal the monsters alone. He rubbed Xianshan's bun again, and after flattening the bun, Chen Tian reluctantly let go. I don't know why. Every time I see Xianshan's bun, Chen Tian wants to go up and rub it, just like petting a cat. The reason why he went in at this time is because Chen Tian sensed that the monsters have rushed out and it is a good time to harvest. With K's strength, although he can't kill the monsters without opening the 8 gates, it is enough for Tian to perform the seal safely. If he went in too late, K would not only lose his girlfriend, but also his own cards. The moment he came in, Chen Tian and others were all stunned, staring blankly at the sealed place. There, Princess K hugged Ziyuan and grabbed her delicate right hand and refused to let go, no matter how she struggled. K, if I didn't know you, I would have suspected what you were doing. Ignoring the vigilant eyes of the ghost, Chen winked at K. Chen exclaimed and quickly covered his eyes, but the gaps between his fingers, which were enough to fit a fist, betrayed him. Hearing Chen's teasing, K also realized that his behavior was inappropriate, and he loosened his hand and threw Ziyuan to the ground. Ziyuan's fall to the ground made a lot of noise, and Chen felt pain just watching it, not to mention that she was a girl. Seeing this scene, Chen had given up the idea of finding a girlfriend for K. This kind of thing was simply impossible. Ziyuan, she wants to seal this monster with her own life. I'm here to stop her. You came at the right time. Feel free to kill this monster. After fighting for who knows how long, K was completely unable to kill the other party, so Chen had to take action. Qianshan's eyelids twitched and said, Teacher K isn't the most important thing to do now to help Miss Ziyuan up. Unfortunately, no one paid attention to her. After Ziyuan stood up, she glared at K and suddenly exclaimed, K, your fate has changed, and it is not a fate of death. There was surprise in Ziyuan's voice, but K didn't care at all. Hearing Ziyuan's words, Chen thought to himself, sure enough, as long as Ziyuan has not seen me, there will be no influence of me in her prophecy. Chapter 111, Regeneration of Broken Limbs. You reptiles, go to hell. Their disregard angered Wu Liang. With a roar, Wu Liang rushed over in an instant, trying to catch Ziyuan. But with Chen here, how could this be possible? Earth escape, earth flow wall. With a wave of his hand, the A-level defensive ninjutsu appeared in front of everyone. Chen also specially carved a lifelike dog head at the position where Wu Liang was about to hit. Watching Wu Liang hit the dog head, Ziyuan grabbed K's arm in fear. Originally, she wanted to grab the corner of his clothes, but K didn't have such a thing as a corner of his clothes. That green tights was really special. When she looked up, she found that everyone else was indifferent, looking at Wu Liang calmly, not afraid at all. Wu Liang is a monster that can destroy the world. Why are your disciples not afraid at all? Shaking K's arm, Ziyuan asked curiously. See. K pointed at Chen and said, as long as he is standing in front, there is nothing to worry about. K's tone was full of determination. Qianshan and others nodded after hearing it, and recalled the scene of Chen destroying the island in their minds. Turning to look at the several meter long Wu Liang, they shook their heads neatly and said, this Wu Liang is too weak. It is impossible for Teacher Chen to attack it in one go. All you reptiles will die. Wu Liang also heard their conversation and was furious. I'm Qianshan, the great monster, the Wu Liang of the king of the demons, and you actually look down on me. Looking at the ugly appearance of Wu Liang, Chen immediately lost interest in playing with him, and the super large jade spiral ball in his hand spun wildly. Natural energy was injected into it, and the super large jade spiral ball suddenly turned milky white, looking quite magnificent. The next moment, Chen's figure suddenly appeared behind Wu Liang, and his right hand pressed hard on the Wu Liang's thorny head. Boom. A series of explosions suddenly sounded, and the surrounding land began to tremble, and many stones fell while shaking. Get out quickly, this place is about to collapse. K shouted, picked up Qian and ran out. Qianshan and others hurriedly followed. Seeing that they all left, Chen's left hand had another super large jade Rasengan, and once again pressed it on the body of the ghost. Without giving the other party a chance to recover, Chen pressed 18 super large jade Rasengan on his face, and the ghost's reminder became smaller and smaller, and finally completely wiped out. Watching the rocks rolling down one by one around him, Chen picked up the cards flashing with golden light on the ground, and rushed towards the passage. Along the way, I don't know how many stones fell, all of which were smashed by Chen one by one. The moment he stepped out of the cave, the whole mountain behind him collapsed. Are you okay, Zaoshan? Kei and Xianshan and others hurried forward. Chenshin shook his head to indicate that he was fine, and then couldn't wait to check the cards. I didn't expect that I hadn't picked up a card for more than 10 years, and this time I lost 2 gold cards. What a great luck. Golden cards are special cards, rebirth of broken limbs. How about fusion? Seeing the words on the card, Chenshin almost went crazy. This is rebirth of broken limbs. Rebirth of broken limbs. With this ability, who can kill him in the future? Who else can? At that moment, Chenshin couldn't wait to say, "System, quickly fuse it for me." The next moment, the chakra in Chenshin's body suddenly disappeared, but the blood flow speed was more than 3 times faster. 1 circle, 2 circles, 3 circles. The blood flow speed became faster and faster, and Chenshin's skin began to turn red. After 5 minutes, Chenshin's body returned to its original state, and the chakra in his body could also be felt. Open the system panel. Host, Chenshin. Physical strength, cage level, swordsmanship, swordmaster. Physical skills, 8 gates, ninjutsu, 1689 types, genjutsu, 1100 types, sealing techniques, 368 types, medical ninjutsu, 123 types, strength, super shadow early stage. The regeneration of a broken limb allowed Chenshin's physical fitness, which was originally stuck at the elite Jonin, to complete a breakthrough. Clenching his fists and feeling the explosive power in his body, Chenshin dared to say that Kei would definitely not be his opponent if he didn't open the 8 gates. Even more boldly, as long as Kei didn't open more than 3 gates, he would definitely not be Chenshin's opponent. "Kei, you guys go slowly, I'll go back first." Just as he was about to launch the Flying Thunder God, Chenshin suddenly stopped again and said, "Miss Shine's destiny is to seal the ghost. Now that the ghost is dead, you can take her back to Konoha." After saying this, Chenshin launched the Flying Thunder God and returned to his home in an instant. Chenshin could roughly guess what happened between Shine and Kei. Anyway, Shine now has a good impression of Kei, so let's bring them back together. However, Shine is only 16 years old now, while Kei is already 25 years old. He still needs to be taken care of for another 3 to 5 years. Kei should be able to wait, right? Putting these thoughts aside, Chenshin took out a kunai as soon as he got home and slashed his arm fiercely. With a swish, a wound appeared on Chenshin's arm. It was cut from the wrist to the arm, and the white bones inside were visible to the naked eye. But when Chenshin took away the kunai, the bleeding of the wound actually stopped. Under Chenshin's gaze, the wound began to recover at a very fast speed. In 1 second, the wound began to heal and grow new granulation tissue. In 2 seconds, most of the wound recovered, with only a white mark. In 3 seconds, the wound was completely healed, exactly the same as before it was cut, and there was no difference at all. Chenshin was stunned and opened his mouth, but didn't know what to say. It is foreseeable that the recovery ability is strong, but is this recovery speed a bit exaggerated now? The wound was from the wrist to the arm, and the bones were exposed. It was completely healed in just 3 seconds. Am I the Kaido of the beasts in the Naruto world? It's just that my defense is not good enough. Nodding, Chenshin said that he was very satisfied with this. After Chenshin left, Kei did not stay for long. He really took Shine with him and headed towards Konoha. 4 or 5 days after Kei left, 4 members of the Akatsuki organization came to the Land of Demons. After a search, they did not find any trace of Chenshin. "Zeh, didn't you say that Chenshin was in the Land of Demons and never left? Where is he now?" Scorpion asked Black Zetsu in a cold voice. Although the other few people did not speak, their expressions were more ugly than each other. The irritable Deidara and Hidden were ready to take action. "You told us that the target was in the Land of Demons. We traveled day and night for 5 days to get here, but in the end, let alone people, we didn't even see a hair." Black Zetsu didn't know what was going on now. Obviously, Chenshin was not among the team that left. Where is he now? Chenshin rarely used the Flying Thunder God technique, and used it no more than 3 times in total. Therefore, only a few people in Konoha and Konan knew this information, but no one spread it, so Black Zetsu didn't know it. After contacting Nagato, these people searched the demon country again, but left after finding nothing. The organization is now in a state of disrepair, and they have many tasks to do. It would be good to find Chen Tian again when there is a chance in the future. Chapter 112 Nagato attacks. In the following 2 years, under the guidance of Chen Tian, the 12 young warriors of Konoha have grown up fully, and each of them can stand on their own. In these 2 years, Chen Tian did not leave Konoha, and stayed in the back mountain. During this time, he has officially proposed to Hong, and they will hold the wedding after the 4th war. In addition to Chen Tian, Kakashi and Kei have new situations, and they are happy events. Yuan Yellen is pregnant with Kakashi's child, and it is 3 months now, and the baby will be born in 7 months. And Kei, a steel straight man, has also been influenced by Shan, and has become a wife-protecting demon, although they are not married yet. But Cheyenne is already 18 years old this year, and in 2 or 3 years, they can also achieve a positive result. The days are clean, but also make people enjoy it. But a piece of news suddenly came, completely interrupting the peace of Konoha. In one day, the second-tailed Jinchuriki of the Cloud Shadow Village, Yuzakito, and the fourth-tailed Jinchuriki of the Rock Shadow Village, Leoshi, were all captured. Even the younger brother of the fourth Reikage, the eight-tailed Jinchuriki, Killer Bee, had one leg chopped off. All the ninja villages were shaken at once, and they wanted to hold a 5-shadow meeting. They had no choice but to panic. There were only 9-tailed beasts in total. In addition to the 3-tailed 9-tailed beast in Konoha, there was only the 8-tailed beast in the Cloud Shadow Village. The other tailed beasts were collected by the other side. With their strength, if they wanted to go to war with other villages except Konoha, even the 4 major ninja villages would not be able to compete. Just when Minato was thinking about this matter, another bad news came. The fire temple was attacked, and the pseudo 9-tailed Jinchuriki inside was captured, and the entire temple became a ruin. For this matter, Konoha held an unprecedented meeting, and all the Jonins came together to discuss it together. Although Chenshin was still a genin, no one forgot him, and asked him to come to the meeting. What Chenshin didn't expect was that the Akatsuki organization was so decisive this time, and there was no delay at all. They acted separately, and collected almost all the remaining tailed beasts in one day, giving the 5 major ninja villages no chance to organize and rescue. It's much better than the original work, where people were always waiting for others to organize their plans. After the meeting started, Chen Tian sat there steadily, listening to other people's conversations, without any intention of speaking. His goal was to have a 4th war. If he told Konoha about it, wouldn't it be ruined? After so many years of hard work, Konoha is now unprecedentedly strong. The route will not suffer any casualties in the war, and there is no panic at all. Now, Konoha can completely pick out 100,000 ordinary ninjas, comparable to the total military strength of the 5 major ninja villages in the original work. Not to mention the strong ones above the level of Cage. There are Chen Tian, Minato, Kushina, Sarutobi Hiruzen, Jiraiya, Tsunade, Orochimaru, Uchiha Fugaku, Uchiha Shizu, Uchiha Itachi, Uchiha Sasuke, Naruto, Kakashi, and my guy. There are 13 Cage level people plus Chen Tian, a super Cage level person. The 4th war is a piece of cake. After the 10 tails are summoned, the 6 paths sage will give Naruto and Sasuke a cheat. With them, these people in Konoha will not encounter any danger. Thinking of the foundation he has laid for Konoha, and thinking about the strength of the opponent during the 4th war, Chenshin showed a smile at the corner of his mouth. I don't know what expression Uchiha Madara will have after seeing Konoha's strength after his resurrection. I'm a little looking forward to it. This meeting lasted a whole day. In the end, Konoha agreed to hold the 5 Cage talks, but the location must be in Konoha. Everyone has also discussed that this condition is what the other 4 major villages are eager for. Konoha is the only one in power. If they want to destroy them at any time, they can do it, but Konoha has not done it, which means that Konoha is safe. If the meeting is held somewhere else, who knows if there will be any accidents? After the meeting, Minato asked the 4 Anbu to deliver the message and tell them Konoha's decision. But no one expected that Konoha would be attacked the next day. Looking at the 6 paths puppet in front of him, Chenshin's expression was very strange. He wanted to laugh but couldn't. Nagato really dared to attack Konoha, and even the method has not changed. It is exactly the same as the original. But looking at the 13 cage level strongman standing beside him, and the more than 5,000 Jonin behind him, Chenshin really doesn't understand what Nagato is thinking. Can you still run wild in Konoha now? I'm afraid you are here to make trouble. Hand over the 3 tails and the 9 tails, and I can leave you with a whole body. Tendo Pain looked at Minato and Chenshin expressionlessly, his tone full of superiority. Do you really think of yourself as a god? Chenshin curled his lips in disdain and said, if you can win, let alone the tailed beasts, even Konoha will be given to you. After complaining, Chenshin was too lazy to continue talking nonsense with Nagato, and began to assign tasks. Brother Minato, you go deal with the heavenly path, the one who's talking. Gay, you go deal with the hungry ghost path, the fattest one. Kakashi, you go deal with the animal path, the non-mainstream one with an afro. Sasuke deal with the Azura path, the monster with 6 arms and a tail. Sister Kushina deal with the hell path, the ugly one with a big front tooth. The last remaining human path, let Naruto deal with it. Remember to turn on the sage mode. In just a few words, Chen Tian assigned the tasks. The others rushed over without any hesitation. The heavenly path mastered gravity and repulsion, and Minato's flying thunder god technique was not afraid of him at all, and could even be said to be a natural nemesis. You suck me and I dodge, you push me and I dodge, but you just can't hit me. Are you angry? The animal path can summon spirit beasts infinitely, and no one can do it, so let Kakashi deal with it. Kakashi inherited White Fang's swordsmanship, and even surpassed it. He was able to bypass the spirit beasts and quickly kill the animal path. I don't believe that you are dead, and these summoned beasts can still fight with people alive and well. The hungry ghost path can absorb all chakras, and any ninjutsu will be ineffective. Then try K's fist. If you can be immune to K's fist, Chenshin is willing to call the hungry ghost path the strongest in the ninja world. Shura path is a puppet body, and all parts of his body are weapons. Ordinary people are no match for it. So Chenshin excluded Uchiha Sasuke and let him directly activate the Gundam. I don't believe that Shura path can still hurt Susanoo. The reason why Sasuke was sent instead of other Uchiha is that Sasuke is the youngest and should do more. Then there is the human path that absorbs souls. Anyone who can use the sage mode can deal with the opponent. Jiraiya was originally the most suitable, but after seeing the face of Tendao, he stared at him motionlessly and could not be relied on for the time being. The last hell path can restore the other 5 puppets and can also summon Yama. Anyone who lies in front of Yama will immediately lose his life and become a standard for people. Kushina, who is full of sealing techniques, is the most suitable. It is a question whether Jigokudo can release ninjutsu in front of her. These are countermeasures that Chenshin spent a long time thinking about. The puppets do not drop cards when they die, and he is too lazy to do it. And these people also need to be trained, otherwise they will easily capsize in the 4 battles. The battle situation did not surprise Chenshin. Although he did not tell everyone about the ninjutsu of Pain 6 paths, they still played the role that Chenshin wanted at the first time. The opponent was defeated step by step, and there was not even a trace of fighting back. Chenshin knew their strength and characteristics. Since Chenshin arranged it this way, they should just magnify their own characteristics. It was with this idea that they were able to crush the opponent so quickly. Seeing that the battle was on the right track, Chenshin came to Jiraiya, patted his shoulder and said, "That is Yahiko's body, which was refined into a puppet. Look at the black sticks on their heads." Pointing to the conductive stick on the head of Pain 6 paths, Chenshin tried to enlighten Jiraiya. Following Chen Tian's finger, Jiraiya saw the conducting rod, and his body trembled. Tears flashed in his eyes. Although Yahiko Nagato and Konan had only been with him for 3 years, they were also his disciples. But now Yahiko had become someone else's puppet. Chapter 113, bringing Jiraiya to meet Nagato. Did Nagato turn Yahiko into a puppet? Looking at Yahiko's Samsara, Jiraiya's tone was very firm. Chenshin nodded and explained, Yahiko died a long time ago at the hands of the demigod Hanzo, and his body was turned into a puppet by Nagato. I know. Where is Nagato? I want to see him. Jiraiya nodded to show his understanding. Chenshin pondered for a moment, silently sensing the location of his flying thunder god Kune, and after sensing it, he said, I know, I'll take you there. While they were talking, Kushina had smashed the Hell Road to pieces, and there was no possibility for the other pains to recover. Seeing that the others were about to end the battle, and confirming that no accidents would happen, Chenshin took Jiraiya to Flying Thunder God. The next moment, the two of them appeared in a cave, and in front of them was Konan and Nagato in a wheelchair. The moment the two appeared, Konan and Nagato became alert and ready to take action at any time. Even after seeing the appearance of Chenshin and Jiraiya clearly, the two did not relax their vigilance. They came to attack Konoha, and now they have been found, so they must be here to kill people. Don't be nervous, even Jiraiya has come to talk to you. It's best not to take action, otherwise you won't be able to leave Konoha today. Chenshin waved his hand, to show that he had no hostility. But he winked at Xiaonan secretly in a place where Nagato couldn't see, which made Xiaonan breathe more slowly. Hearing this, Nagato's face was as dark as the bottom of a pot, and he stared at Chenshin fiercely. If Chenshin dared to talk to him like this a few minutes ago, he would kill Chenshin without saying a word. But now, in his perception, all the 6 paths of pain have been scrapped, and not even one survived. Nagato knew that he was too arrogant, and it would not be difficult for Konoha to deal with him, and he was not a god. For the safety of himself, and Xiaonan beside him, Nagato suppressed his anger and said, just say whatever you want to say, don't talk nonsense. Chenshin gave Jiraiya a look, indicating that Jiraiya should ask any questions quickly. However, he did not leave, but stood not far from Jiraiya. This was to prevent Nagato from suddenly killing. He could easily kill Nagato, but Jiraiya couldn't. If he was attacked by surprise, he would probably die instantly. Nagato himself possesses all the abilities of the 6 paths of pain. Chenshin just watched Jiraiya talking to Nagato and Konan, leaning against the wall in boredom. Nagato is a man who knows the times, otherwise you would be my card today. Chenshin sighed in his heart, and began to lose focus. Jiraiya on the side door already knew the whole story of Yahiko's death, and knew that Nagato inherited Yahiko's will, and wanted to use the tailed beasts, to balance the ninja world. Listening to Nagato's talk, Chenshin chuckled. Looking at the looks from the 3 people, he quickly explained, it's not that I look down on your ideals, but you simply don't have the ability. Pointing at Konoha, Chenshin said, let's not talk about the others. You can't take Konoha alone. And the 10 tails is alive. Are you sure you can control the 10 tails? Ignoring Nagato's gradually dimming eyes, Chenshin said to himself, even if you have done all this, the 5 major ninja villages won't resist? When they resist, kill them all? Ignoring Konan's suggestive eyes, Chenshin continued, when you have killed all the ninjas, the hungry people will still become bandits, and their power will grow stronger and stronger, forming a new war. After Chenshin stopped, Nagato's eyes had completely dimmed, without the slightest bit of brilliance, and the whole person was slumped in a wheelchair in decadence. Seeing Xiaonan's anxious look, Chenshin felt a little reluctant, and could only continue to speak. Look at the current situation of the Fire Country. Everyone can eat and drink enough, there are entertainment activities when there is nothing to do, and the crime rate is surprisingly low. This situation is the real peace. After throwing down this sentence, Chenshin gave Xiaonan a look, to put away the flying thunder god Kune, turned around and left first. Let Jiraiya take care of the rest of the time. Nagato no longer has the will to fight. Chenshin shattered Nagato's ideals and plans in all aspects, from strength to ideas. The key is that he has sufficient evidence to prove it. No matter what Nagato thinks, he can't deal with the problems mentioned by Chenshin. It was not until Chenshin's last reminder that Nagato's demise lit up a ray of light. Chenshin didn't know what happened in the cave afterwards. When he returned to Konoha, Pain's 6 paths had become tatters and were recovered by the Anbu. After saying hello to Minato and telling them that everything was fine, Chenshin returned home alone, always focusing on the flying thunder god Kune. If I remember correctly, after this matter is over, Konan will face murderous intentions, and I must rescue her in time. Although Obito was killed by me, Chenshin doesn't believe that the other party has no backup plan given the old man of the 6 paths cunningness. If you want to summon the 10 tails, the Samsara is the most critical thing, and the old man of the 6 paths will never give up. Soon, Konoha cleaned up the mess, increased the patrol of the Anbu, and returned to normal. Jiraiya returned to Konoha alone 3 hours later, looking quite decadent. Less than half an hour after Jiraiya returned, Chen Tian sensed the movement from the Flying Thunder God Kunai and hurriedly shuttled over. It is worth mentioning that the Flying Thunder God originally had no sensing ability, but Chen Tian set a simple sealing technique on the Kunai. As long as this sealing technique is triggered, Chen Tian will receive a prompt. This inspiration came from the original work, when Naruto released the Nine Tails, and was sensed by Minato's chakra, and then created. When he appeared next to Konan, the Rasengan in Chen Tian's right hand had already begun to rotate. The moment he saw the enemy, he fiercely pressed out the Rasengan, but it went through the enemy's body. However, Chen Tian also frightened the enemy so much that he hurriedly distanced himself from him. Until now, Chen Tian had no time to observe the surrounding situation. Looking at the environment, it was obvious that they had reached the edge of the land of fire, but when he saw Konan, Chen Tian's heart suddenly trembled. There were more than a dozen hideous wounds on Conan's tall body, and the blood dyed her black-bottomed red cloud robe red. Multiple shadow clone technique. He separated 12 clones and asked them to deal with an enemy that was almost exactly the same as Obito. Chen Tian instantly picked up Konan and pressed the palm immortal technique on Konan. Under the desperate output of chakra, the wounds on Conan's body recovered at a very fast speed and no longer affected Conan's activities. Enduring the pain, Konan tried hard to say, "Zio-shan, Nagato's eyes have been dug out, you should go and see him." He casually arranged a shadow clone and continued to treat Konan regardless of anything. Uchiha-shin, who was standing by, naturally couldn't watch him treat the two people, but when he wanted to stop him, he found that he couldn't break through these 11 shadow clones. As long as the Kambu ended, any shadow clone could kill him in seconds, so he had no choice but to continue to maintain the Kambu. How could he be so strong that one shadow clone could kill me? Even though he was shocked, Chen Tian's strength made him lose his temper. Watching Xiaonan recovering little by little, Uchiha-shin thought about it and decided to retreat first and kill these people next time. Kambu is indeed a bug level ninjutsu. Even Chen Tian's shadow clones couldn't stop him and could only watch him leave safely. After seeing Uchiha-shin leave, the 11 shadow clones guarded Xiaonan. It took Chen Tian 10 minutes to completely heal Xiaonan, and she didn't even have a scar on her body. Huh. It's really dangerous. Seeing Xiaonan recover as before, Chen Tian finally breathed a sigh of relief. As for Nagato on the other side, he was still lying on the ground. Chen Tian's shadow clone treated him casually and left him alone after making sure that he would not die. Chapter 114 The sudden appearance of Uchiha Madara. After Xiaonan recovered, Chen Tian knew what had happened. It turned out that when he was in the cave, Nagato changed his peaceful way because of his words. After refusing Jiraiya's request to join Konoha, he took Xiaonan back to the Land of Rain. They planned to use Konoha's development strategy in the Land of Rain to make the Land of Rain peaceful and tranquil. After that, they persuaded other countries with iron facts and helped them build for free. The idea was good, but unfortunately there was no chance to implement it. When they left, the masked man suddenly appeared and started to act without saying a word. That would be fine. Nagato and Xiaonan joined forces, and counter-killing was not a problem at all, but no one expected that Black Zetsu had already sneaked into Nagato's body and took away the Samsara at a critical moment. After getting the Samsara, Black Zetsu retreated first, leaving the masked man to cut the grass and root it out. In order to protect Nagato, Xiaonan fought desperately, but the masked man's ninjutsu was too weird, and he was seriously injured in the end. Because of Nagato's existence, Xiaonan didn't even dare to use 600 billion detonating talismans, and could only support it. When telling the story, Xiaonan showed a trace of grievance, obviously very unconvinced. The masked man retreated. Xiaonan fully recovered. Nagato was half dead. There was no need to stay here. Chen Tian took the two flying thunder gods back to Konoha, notified Jiraiya and asked him to deal with Nagato and Xiaonan. Chen Tian was too lazy to explain to others. Unexpectedly, after sending Nagato to Konoha Hospital for treatment and confirming that there was no problem, Xiaonan actually asked Jiraiya to look after Nagato and came to find Chen Tian himself. with Han being slightly jealous. Xiaonan lived in Chenshin's house openly and told Chenshin that she would not care about anything in the ninja world in the future and she would live here alone. Chenshin still knew Xiaonan very well and knew why she said such words and made such a decision. Xiaonan actually didn't have any opinions. She was an orphan since she was a child and regarded Yahiko's and Nagato's dreams as her own dreams. Because these two people are her closest people, she is willing to work hard for their dreams. But when Chenshin appeared, Xiaonan found that she had a younger brother and she seemed to have relatives. In this case, Xiaonan could only continue to help Nagato and find a way to protect Chenshin. This can be seen from her asking to inform Chenshin. Now Nagato's dream is basically destroyed. Without the Samsara, she has no power to continue pursuing her dream. Xiaonan naturally does not have to continue to work hard for the peace of the ninja world, so she chooses to live the life she likes without the intrigues like before. I don't know if the feelings between women are special. Anyway, starting from the next day, Chenshin saw Han, who was originally a little jealous, whispering with Xiaonan, and there were endless things to say. And the two of them looked at him from time to time, which made Chenshin a little uneasy. Chenshin lived a leisurely life here, but Konoha was not so peaceful. After waking up, Nagato was silent for a whole day, and then told Jiraiya everything about the Akatsuki organization. At this time, it was the early stage of the 5-cage talks. After receiving such news, Konoha immediately began to prepare. Now Konoha knows most of the situation of Akatsuki, only the masked man and Black Zetsu are uncertain. After comparing the combat power of both sides and confirming that Akatsuki is not Konoha's opponent, everyone began to prepare calmly. In fact, Chenshin knew all the news and was not worried about Akatsuki at all. What really worried him was that Konoha's current strength was too strong from time to time, and whether Akatsuki could still summon the Ten Tails. At the beginning, Konoha was determined to strengthen it so that there would not be too many sacrifices during the Fourth War, but now the situation is a bit delicate. After drinking a sip of tea with some melancholy, Chenshin was like a salted fish that had lost its dream, lying on the sofa helplessly. Time flies, and 3 days have passed in the blink of an eye. The 5-cage talks are confirmed to be held in Konoha, and the cages of the other 4 villages have come to Konoha with their guards, waiting for the meeting to start. This time, Chenshin did not join in the fun of the 5-cage talks, but took Han, Xiaonan, and Linglong, 2 women, one big and one small, to the snow country for a trip. There are only trees around Konoha, and they have seen enough of them for so many years. The 3 girls smiled brightly when they saw the snow flying all over the sky. In the snow, the 3 girls with beautiful faces stretched out their hands and carefully caught a snowflake, like elves in the ice and snow, which calmed Chenshin's heart. After playing for 3 days, they got up and returned. They were not in a hurry, and they took a full 10 days to walk and see along the way. But when they returned to Konoha, they were stunned by the scene in front of them. Konoha was being rebuilt, and there were ruins all around. What's going on? Chenshin came to the front of the Anbu in an instant, his face a little ferocious. It's Uchiha Madara attacked Konoha. The Anbu was so scared by Chenshin's appearance that they stuttered. At this time, Xiaonan and Han came to comfort Chenshin. It's okay, Konoha is being rebuilt, and it's obvious that Uchiha Madara was repelled. Hearing this, Chenshin calmed down a little. He threw away the Anbu in his hand, told the 3 women to go back first and not walk around outside, and rushed straight to the Hokage's office. No one knew better than him what Uchiha Madara's target was. It couldn't be anything else except the tailed beast. Don't get into trouble. Don't get into trouble. He clenched his fists, his nails pinched into the flesh unconsciously. Chen Tian secretly regretted why he left Konoha at this time. If he was there, he could at least stop Uchiha Madara. People on the road only saw a flash of purple light, but there was nothing when they looked. If the flying thunder god seal hadn't been set up in the Hokage's office, Chen Tian would have wanted to appear there immediately. It took Chen Tian less than 30 seconds to get from the Konoha gate to the Hokage's office. When he broke open the door of the Hokage's office and saw Minato handling official business, as if nothing had happened, his tense nerves suddenly relaxed. Minato was still there, so Kushina must be fine, as long as the two were safe. and looking at Minato's nonchalant appearance, it was obvious that there was not much loss. "What's going on?" Chen Tian found a sofa and sat down, and immediately began to ask. After Minato's 1-hour narration, Chen Tian finally understood the whole story. On the third day after Chen Tian and the 3 women left Konoha, the 5-cage talks officially began. After Minato shared the intelligence of the Akatsuki organization with everyone unanimously agreed to form an alliance and completely destroy the Akatsuki organization. But just when they were about to finalize the matter, Uchiha Madara suddenly came to kill him. Looking at his appearance, not only was he in his prime, but he was actually a living person, not a reincarnated person. Uchiha Madara's purpose was very simple, to hand over the 3-tailed beast, the 8-tailed beast, and the 9-tailed beast, but how could everyone agree? Not to mention the threat of Uchiha Madara. After getting all the tailed beasts, it was impossible to say that they were related. The 3-tailed beast is the wife of Hatake Kakashi, a disciple of the Hokage, and one of the pillars of Konoha. The 8-tailed beast is the younger brother of the Raikage and the pillar of the Cloud Shadow. The 9-tailed beast is the wife of the Hokage and the sister of the #1 master of Konoha. After being rejected, Uchiha Madara said nothing more. No matter how many strong men there were in Konoha, he would just start to rob. At that time, there were 5-cage level strong men from the other 4 villages and 13-cage level strong men of Konoha who could have resisted Uchiha Madara. But no one expected that Uchiha Madara would suddenly use wood release, which seriously injured a group of people. He also used the Samurai to control the 3-tailed beasts and let them attack the seal by themselves. With his help, the seal was really loosened. Seeing this, everyone started to fight desperately, trying their best to stop Uchiha Madara, but to no avail. His Susanoo was stronger than everyone else's, and his wood release was not weaker than the Shirama Senju. In desperation, the 3rd generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen used the Shiki Fujin, wanting to die with Uchiha Madara. But Madara reacted in time, split the 3-tailed beasts into 2, and took away half of them. Chapter 115 Chen Tian's Plan. After Uchiha Madara left, nearly 20-cage level warriors fell to the ground. Except for a few people such as Minato, Raikage, Jiraiya and Tsunade, all the others were injured. When he said this, Minato still showed a lingering fear. It was obvious that Uchiha Madara's strength exceeded his imagination. After Uchiha Madara left, Sarutobi Hiruzen's soul was devoured by the god of death, and died in order to protect Konoha. This matter was temporarily postponed. After the cages of the major villages recovered a little, they went back to gather the large forces as soon as possible and prepared to fight Uchiha Madara with the power of the ninja world. Because from Uchiha Madara's mouth, they already knew the purpose of collecting the tailed beasts. If Uchiha Madara succeeded, it would be the end of the ninja world, and it must be stopped, even if it meant death. After the people from the major villages left, Konoha held the funeral of the 3rd generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen and began reconstruction. That's why it looked like what Chen Tian saw when he came back. Chen Tian left the Hokage's office in a daze and went to see Kushina and Hirano before preparing to go home. But he was a little absent-minded along the way. This situation was completely different from what he remembered. Uchiha Madara was resurrected so early. Madara must use the Samsara rebirth technique to be resurrected, and the masked man is 100% dead. It should be the work of Black Zetsu. Uchiha Shin was just a tool man pulled in halfway, and Black Zetsu never trusted him from beginning to end. Naturally, it was impossible for him to really control the Samsara. He must have controlled Uchiha Shin as soon as he got the Samsara and let him resurrect Madara. In the current situation, although the tailed beast is not complete, it is still possible to summon the 10 tails. After seeing the power of Konoha, although Madara is powerful, it is impossible for him to continue to snatch the remaining 3 disabled tailed beasts. So is this directly entering the final decisive battle? Thinking of this, Chen Tian's heart suddenly tightened. He relied too much on the original plot and was a little careless. Under the flapping wings of his butterfly, even if there is a 6-path sage to arrange the script, there is no way to fully recover. After admonishing himself, Chen Tian was heartbroken and could hardly breathe. Because of his random changes, one of the strongest 6 paths died early, and he lost a powerful card. According to the plot, Uchiha Obito can also become a 6 paths level, but now even his ashes are gone. With a sad heart, Chenshin returned home and told Xiaonan and Hang the news, and then kept an eye on the developments in the ninja world. After the four shadows returned, they held a ninja village meeting as soon as possible to inform everyone of everything. Then they began to gather their own ninjas. Except for the genin who stayed behind, all other ninjas were ready to go. 3 days passed in a row, and all the best prepared villages went out and came to Konoha. The battlefield is on the border between the Land of Rain and Konoha. If they go alone, they may be caught by Uchiha Madara and the Akatsuki organization. That's why they came to Konoha to join up and then rush to the Land of Rain for a decisive battle. Chen Tian has not been idle these days. He has been deducing the direction of the war and how to get the most benefits in his mind. It takes 9 days to seal the 3-tailed beasts, 7 days to gather the power of each village, and 1 day to go from Konoha to the Land of Rain. When they arrived in the Land of Rain, it was already the night of the 8th day, and the 10 tails could be combined on the 9th day. In this case, the first thing to do after arriving in the Land of Rain is to start fighting. The members of the Akatsuki organization will definitely come to stop them, but their strength is not enough to fight against the Ninja Alliance. However, Black Zetsu, the 1000-year-old shady shadow, has a bit of powerful ability. No one knows whether this guy has come to Konoha to learn the impure world reincarnation technique. Thinking from his perspective, Chen Tian felt that, if it were him, he would definitely try his best to get the impure world reincarnation ninjutsu when the enemy was strong and he was weak. Even if he really didn't expect it, the 6 paths sage would find a way to give it to him. In this way, he could stop the Ninja Alliance for 1 day and let the 10 tails merge successfully. According to the current situation, the first 6 paths level must be Madara. If you want to kill Madara without affecting Kaguya's resurrection, you must sneak attack Madara in Black Zetsu, so that Kaguya's consciousness can be awakened and killed in 1 blow. In this way, Chenshin killed Madara and Kaguya took over his body, without delaying either. As for Kaguya, she can only rely on Naruto and Sasuke to cheat, and find the right opportunity to grab the head. After picking up all these 2 cards, they must be fused immediately, otherwise the 6 paths sage will be angry and make a move, and Chenshin can't bear it. The plan is almost done, and Chenshin doesn't do anything extra. He just follows Minato and others every day. You don't know until you see it. You're shocked when you see it. Minato actually pulled out a team of 80,000 people, and the weakest among them are all Chunin. Then he divided the 80,000 man army into 8 troops, led by Jiraiya, Orochimaru, Tsunade, Uchiha Fugaku, Kakashi, Uchiha Shizu, Uchiha Itachi and Hyuga Hayashi. All the remaining cage-level strongmen are mobile troops, ready to support everywhere at any time. Chen Tian's task is to build a human-shaped portal and use the Flying Thunder God technique to send these people to where they are needed. If there is an emergency, Chen Tian will fight. If not, he will conserve his energy and wait for the fight with Uchiha Madara. Chen Tian is also happy about this. He doesn't have to participate in the battle casually to affect the situation, and he can still paddle openly and wait for the last chance. It is just perfect for him. So he agreed without hesitation and didn't resist at all. Of course, Chen Tian has also paid attention to the strength of Naruto and Sasuke in the past few days. Although he doesn't have the 9 tails, Naruto's Sage Mode is even more powerful. If he bursts out with all his strength, he will not be weaker than Nagato with the Samurai. Because Sasuke doesn't have the Eternal Mangekyou Sharingan, he can't use the Sharingan at will, but he is not weak at all when he bursts out. Chen Tian can only cite the strength of the protagonist. After being changed so much by himself, these 2 people are not much worse than the original. As long as the 6 paths sage opens a wave of plugins for the 2, Kaguya can definitely be successfully sealed. Apart from them, the others were small strong men. Although they were not so strong, the weakest ones were also elite jonin, which did not disappoint Chenshin's cultivation. After making sure that everything was foolproof, Chenshin sat down again. Originally, he wanted to arrange Hang and Xiaonan to guard Konoha, but he didn't expect that the 2 women had to go to the war. Chenshin had no choice but to agree, and arranged both of them in the mobile force, so that it would be convenient for him to take care of them. Chen was not afraid that others would say he was selfish, because he was selfish and only cared about the people around him. Who in this world is not selfish? He was not there when Uchiha Madara attacked Konoha, and many villagers blamed him behind his back. Konoha was built up by him little by little. Without his efforts, Uchiha Madara would have flattened Konoha long ago. Now they still dare to blame him for not coming out to protect them? Chen really didn't know what was in these people's minds. In this way, the large forces of the 4 major ninja villages also came to the vicinity of Konoha, and there were only 2 days before the war began. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116, Impure World Reincarnation. The 5 major ninja villages gathered and immediately elected a leader. Because Konoha was the most powerful, the leader was Minato. The 4 major villages only brought more than 60,000 people in total, and Minato did not make much arrangements. He directly divided them into 4 teams according to the villages, and handed them over to the representatives they elected. To put it bluntly, Minato just looked down on these people and there was no need to mediate the hatred between the 2 sides. Konoha was the only one in power, and even if they had a conflict, these people would not dare to act rashly. The shadows of the 5 major ninja villages sat together at the headquarters to guard the coalition base, and the others performed their own tasks. After this issue was decided, Konoha's 100,000 troops plus the more than 60,000 troops of the other 4 villages headed towards the Rain Country. After they set off, Madara, who sealed the tailed beast in the Rain Country, also received the news. Black Zetsu, how are the preparations for the Impure World Reincarnation going? Madara looked at the outer path demon statue expressionlessly and asked Black Zetsu behind him. Lord Madara, the Impure World Reincarnation is ready. Anyone who can find a little bit of dregs will be reincarnated. Then let those rubbish take them to defend the Ninja World Coalition and delay for a day, then you don't have to worry about it. I understand, Lord Madara. After agreeing, Black Zetsu merged into the ground and disappeared again to release the Impure World Reincarnation Army. Black Zetsu had obtained the Impure World Reincarnation ninjutsu more than 10 years ago. At that time, he saw Konoha becoming stronger day by day, and he sneaked into Konoha with an uneasy heart and obtained the Impure World Reincarnation. I didn't expect that I would have to use this ninjutsu in the end. Soon, Black Zetsu came to a cave the size of a football field. The cave was densely packed with coffins, and the person standing in the middle was Scorpion. Scorpion was originally a puppeteer. There are many similarities between Impure World Reincarnation and puppets. They are both controlled by people to fight. Therefore, it is naturally the most appropriate solution to leave this matter to Scorpion. Scorpion, the Ninja Alliance has approached the border of the Rain Country. Let's release all these people. Black Zetsu emerged from the ground little by little. His dark body made it almost impossible to see him. Scorpion nodded, raised his hands suddenly, and the coffin in front of him began to change. Various noises came from the originally calm coffin, and the coffin lid was pushed open little by little. Swish. With a sound, the coffin lid was completely opened, and a person walked out of it. There were many familiar figures among them. If the Ninja Alliance saw them, they would definitely recognize them. For example, the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, who had just died not long ago, and the 4th Mizukage Yagura of the Mist Shadow Village. Almost all the dead shadows of each village can be seen here. Only the 1st and 2nd Hokage are nowhere to be seen. But Black Zetsu just glanced at it and didn't pay too much attention to it, but looked at the 2 coffins behind Scorpion. Although the appearance of these 2 coffins is no different from the previous ones, there are 2 big characters written on them, namely 1st and 2nd. Aren't you sure you can control these 2? Black Zetsu showed a rare look of fear. Scorpion shook his head and said, the 1st Hokage, Senju Hashirama, is too powerful, and he may not be able to control him. The 2nd Hokage, Senju Tobirama, created the Impure World Reincarnation, and he may have a countermeasure. Scorpion, who made himself a puppet, had no expression on his face, but it could be heard from his tone that he was very afraid of the two people and did not dare to wake them up at will. After nodding in understanding, Black Zetsu began to merge into the ground, and before leaving, he said, "I will notify other members of the organization and let them join the Impure World Reincarnation Army to resist the Ninja World Alliance." After saying that, Black Zetsu's figure also disappeared in the cave. But he didn't see that after he left, there was a trace of struggle in Scorpion's eyes, but it was only a flash. While Uchiha Madara was making preparations, Chen Tian had already arrived at the border of the Rain Country. Since it was already night, the army was temporarily stationed here, and a solid command room was built. Narashikaku and others followed the shadows of the 5 major ninja villages into the area, and began to discuss how to attack. The others were quietly waiting for the war after dawn. No one knew whether they could survive the war, but for the growth of the next generation, they had to stand up, even if the opponent was the legendary Shura of the ninja world, Uchiha Madara. Chen Tian ignored these things, but lingered outside the army alone, staring at the bright night sky in a daze. Not long ago, he once again felt the gaze of the Six Paths Sage, but this time the target was not him, but Naruto and Sasuke. The reason why he saw him was just because he was too close to the two. Knowing that the Six Paths Sage was always watching the battle, Chen Tian's last worry was gone. As long as the Six Paths Sage still wanted to complete his plan, he would definitely give Naruto and Sasuke a cheat at the critical moment. But these were not the reasons why he was in a daze here. What really made him in a daze here was the confusion in his heart. Since he came here, he has been cautious, constantly facing various enemies, and trying his best to make himself stronger. But now it all seems to be over. He is about to become a 6-path level strongman, and there is no one in the ninja world who can threaten him. Suddenly losing his goal, Chen Tian felt very confused and didn't know what to do. Others don't know the result of this battle, but he, one of the initiators, knows it very well. Ordinary ninjas will suffer a lot of casualties, but those with some strength will not have any problems. Forget it, don't think about these. When this is over, I will marry Hong and take her to travel all over the ninja world. Thinking of this, Chen Tian's mouth corners slightly raised, revealing a new smile. While he was leisurely, the 0-hour command room had already become a quarrel, and everyone was talking. In the end, it was Narashikaku who came up with the idea. There were a total of 12 teams in this war, attacking from 12 directions. Since they were uncertain about the strength of the other side, this was the safest way to effectively avoid some means they didn't know. The remaining 5 shadows sat in the temporary command room and ensured the safety here so that Narashikaku's orders could be issued smoothly. The other 12 shadow level strongmen all stayed in the command room. If there was a problem on any front, Chen Tian would send them there as soon as possible. If there is a problem that these people can't solve, the 5 cage will personally take over. If this doesn't work, Chen Tian can only be forced to take action and kill the opponent as quickly as possible. Finally, gather all the strength to face Uchiha Madara together. Even if they all die on the battlefield, they must stop Uchiha Madara. Chapter 117. Fighting the Flying Thunder God. The sun rises, and the moon sets. As soon as the morning sun appears, the Ninja World Army begins to move. Follow the route discussed last night and march out. Black Zetsu is also unwilling to be outdone. 100,000 white Zetsu follow, and the Impure World Reincarnation Army defends in various places in the Rain Country, quietly waiting for the arrival of the Ninja World Army. In the temporary command room, everyone is restless, staring at Yamanaka Inoichi, anxiously waiting for news from the front line. On Yamanaka Inoichi's head, there is an amplifier that allows him to communicate with the Ninja World Alliance. Suddenly, Yamanaka Inoichi raised his head and said, the army encountered a group of white monsters. Almost all of them are Chunin in strength, and the most important thing is that they also encountered the previous cages of each village. After the voice fell, everyone stood there with an ugly look on their faces. Only Minato murmured, immortal reincarnation. Why are they reincarnated? But now is not the time to think about this, Minato said decisively. Immortal reincarnation can only be sealed with sealing techniques, and it can't be killed at all. Immediately distribute the sealing squad to the battlefield. Less than 5 minutes after Yamanaka Inoichi delivered the message, he encountered a new situation again. Several cage level strongmen appeared on the battlefield. The existing troops cannot complete the ceiling. Someone must subdue them. You report the location. Chen will send the mobile troops over separately. Minato arranged one by one, which eased the tense atmosphere a little. The first unit encountered the third Raikage. The location is here. The second unit encountered the third Kazakage. The location is here. The 8th unit encountered the third Hokage. The location is here. Namikaze called out the names one by one, and the flying thunder god of the morning sky quickly flipped and sent the most suitable ninja over. This temporarily curbed the deteriorating situation on the battlefield, but the situation was still serious. No, only by killing the person who performed the impure world reincarnation can we completely solve this problem, otherwise we can't seal it all. Minato frowned and said to the other cages with a serious face. Then send someone to find him and kill him on the spot after finding him. The Raikage slapped the table and said, Mabuai, you go. The other cages nodded one after another and also sent a ninja. A total of 5 people went together. Mabuai from the Cloud Shadow Village, King from the Mist Shadow Village, Huang Tu from the Rock Shadow Village, Hizashi from Konoha, and Chiyo from the Sand Shadow Village. These 5 people have combat effectiveness, exploration ability, and are not very useful on the front battlefield, which is just right for this task. Chen Tian didn't have time to listen to what they said. He was busy sending the mobile team members over and picking them up. Finally, the mobile team of 12 people all went out, and a new round of requests for help came again, still from Tsunade's team. Stopping Minato and others from going, Chen Tian decided to deal with one person himself and try to see if the impure world reincarnation could explode the card. Because this person was the second generation Hokage Senjutsu Birima, barely reaching the lower limit of exploding the card. The next moment, Chen Tian appeared in front of Tsunade. What's the situation now? All the previous seals were completed, but I didn't expect my second grandfather to suddenly appear. He knows the flying thunder god technique, and the sealing class can't seal it. Tsunade gritted her teeth and said, wishing to punch the person who played with the soul of the dead. Leave it to me, you retreat first. Chen Tian suddenly appeared in front of Tsunade, and his right hand instantly formed a Rasengan, and pressed it towards the void on the right. After Chen Tian pressed it, Senjutsu Birima suddenly appeared here in the distance, and his arm was broken by the Rasengan. When Chen Tian was about to cast the seal, he returned to the original place again, and his shattered arm began to recover quickly. It was not until then that Tsunade reacted and ordered the 10,000 troops to retreat. Looking at the expressionless face of Senjutsu Birima, Chen Tian raised the corner of his mouth and smiled, saying, it seems that I can't seal you unless I beat you into scum. Senjutsu Birima's flying thunder god was too fast, and it was teleported away before Chen Tian could seal it. It must be controlled. Chen Tian was interested for a while, and took out hundreds of flying thunder god Kune from his personal space, and scattered them on the battlefield, like flowers scattered by the sky. The next moment, his figure began to flash on the battlefield, and occasionally when he stopped, people could see him holding a Rasengan in his left hand and a Raikiri in his right hand. Senjutsu Birima, who was controlled by Scorpion, was also unwilling to be outdone, and his speed was no slower than Chen Tian. The ninja army stared with tens of thousands of eyes, but no one could see what was happening on the battlefield, and could only see a fleeting black spot. Great, so strong, that person can actually compete with the second generation of Konoha Hokage in speed. It's too strong. Shut up, what that person? That's Konoha's demon Chenshin-sama. I didn't expect that Chenshin-sama is so powerful. I just don't know if he can suppress Senjutsu Birima. While these people were guessing, Chenshin predicted the position of Senjutsu Birima and stabbed out with his left hand Raikiri at lightning speed. The next moment, the figure of Senjutsu Birima appeared in the empty place and was pierced through the chest by Chenshin. If he stopped, others would definitely see that there were more than a dozen places on Senjutsu Birima's body where paper pieces were flying to recover. These were all wounds left by Chenshin himself, and there were even more that had recovered. But until now, Chenshin's clothes were not damaged at all, and he had not received a single attack. After being pierced through the chest, Senjutsu Birima instantly moved away from the battlefield, leaving Chenshin no time to chase him. Just when he was about to close the distance and completely destroy Senjutsu Birima, Senjutsu Birima in the distance spoke, Konoha demon, you are really strong. I can't exert Senjutsu Berima's full strength. Now let you try the real Senjutsu Berima. Scorpion, who was hiding in the cave, quickly formed seals with both hands and released the control of Senjutsu Berima's consciousness. Of course, it was just consciousness, and he could still control the other party's body at any time. After everything that happened last night, Scorpion looked back at the last coffin, his eyes full of hesitation, and finally shook his head and did not act. After Scorpion did those things, the eyes of Senjutsu Berima, who was originally like a puppet on the battlefield, became smart. But in just 1 or 2 seconds, his mind was completely restored. This is reincarnation. Senjutsu Berima realized his current situation on the spot, and then he had time to look around. Although he was still talking, the voice now was completely different from the previous voice. Chen Tian realized what the previous person said about the real Senjutsu Berima. In a flash, Chen Tian brought Tsunade over and said, the second Hokage has woken up, you can talk to him. But his body is still controlled, so you can't leave my side. After that, Chen Tian carefully stared at Senjutsu Berima to prevent him from suddenly attacking. He himself was not afraid, but Tsunade was not. She might be killed instantly by Senjutsu Berima here, and she wouldn't even be able to create and regenerate. Senjutsu Berima obviously noticed Chen Tian's actions. After taking a deep look at him, he tentatively asked Tsunade, are you little Tsunade? Chapter 118, Impure World Reincarnation, Senju Hashirama. Second Grandpa, it's me. Tsunade was a little excited, her beautiful eyes were full of water vapor, and she rarely showed her vulnerable side. The two chatted for a few words, and Senjutsu Berima began to ask about the current situation, and why there were so many ninjas from various countries here. Just when Tsunade wanted to tell, Senjutsu Berima suddenly shouted, little Tsunade, get out of the way. But his flying thunder god was too fast, and Tsunade didn't react at all. Fortunately, Chen Tian had been paying attention, and carried Tsunade back to the main force in time, so he avoided Senjutsu Berima's attack. I'll go and tell the second generation Hokage, you just watch here. After giving instructions, Chen Tian flashed and reappeared in front of Senjutsu Berima. Boy, you are also a ninja of Konoha, you can master the flying thunder god technique, and you can take little Tsunade to avoid my attack. Konoha has another demon. Senjutsu Berima looked at Chen Tian, his eyes full of relief, and he was very satisfied with Chen Tian. Chen Tian smiled and said, thank you for the compliment, second Hokage. I'll tell you the whole story first. He suppressed his own strength and tried his best to maintain a 50-50 situation with Senjutsu Berima so that no one would hurt anyone. While the two were talking, the group of 5 people led by Chiyo had already approached the cave where Scorpion was. Hyuga, Hisashi and Ao worked hard and quickly determined the specific location. But in addition to this, they also found a very large chakra, only slightly less than the tailed beast. After getting the information, several people immediately became alert. Finally, the oldest Chiyo gave an order, keep going. No matter what is ahead, we must go and see it. However, it took the 5 of them more than 10 minutes to walk a distance of 2 kilometers. It's in the cave in front. The chakra is at the entrance of the cave. Hyuga Hisashi pointed to a hidden cave. The 5 people looked at each other and made a few gestures, indicating that Huang-Tu should go first, followed by Ao and Hyuga Hisashi, Mabuai, and finally Chiyo. Huang-Tu is the son of Tsuchika Jinoki. He is not only strong enough, but also good at defensive ninjutsu. King and Hisashi have Byakugan, so they are not easily attacked by others. Mabuai and Chiyo are good at counterattacks. Several people wrapped their feet with chakra, walked on the grass without making any sound, and approached the cave quietly. When they arrived at the entrance of the cave, Huang-Tu, who was walking in the front, turned around and gave a questioning look. After seeing this, Chiyo pointed at the cave and made a slow entry. Huang-Tu nodded in understanding and stepped into the cave carefully. But just as he entered, a big knife covered with thorns came towards his head with a sound of breaking through the air. Earth escape, earth flow wall. The situation was urgent, and Huang-Tu could only use a simple defensive ninjutsu, and the big knife had already fallen. With a boom, the earth wall in front of Huang-Tu collapsed. Fortunately, King and Hisashi behind him made up in time and repelled the attacker, which saved Huang-Tu. The two sides retreated immediately after the confrontation, and all 5 people saw the appearance of the attacker. The strong body carried a big sword on his back, and he had a shark face on his head, with jagged teeth that made people afraid. Kisame, it's you. King, who was born in the Mist Shadow village, recognized the attacker instantly and exclaimed. Seeing the confused expressions of the others, King explained, Kisame was once a jonin in our Mist Shadow village. Because of his deep chakra, he was called the tailless-tailed beast. He looked at Kisame vigilantly and confirmed that Kisame had no intention of taking action immediately. King continued, after the death of the 4th Mizukage, he betrayed the village and disappeared from then on. I didn't expect that he actually joined the Akatsuki organization. There is another person in there. Hinata Hisashi suddenly interrupted King's words and stared at the depths of the cave. Tap, tat, tat. The sound of footsteps sounded one after another, and a red-haired boy of 17 or 18 years old walked out. Kisame grinned. Scorpion, you are really slow. Ignoring Kisame, Scorpion immediately looked at Chiyo, who was stunned after seeing him. Leave the 4 of them to you, and I will deal with Chiyo myself. Pointing at Chiyo, Scorpion looked at Kisame expressionlessly. Come here. Without saying anything, Kisame rushed over and forced Hyuga Hisashi and others to another corner, isolating them from Chiyo. Hyuga Hisashi and others would naturally not give up. The 5 of them fought in a group in an instant, and no one had time to care about Chiyo. Kisame is a real cage-level strongman, but Hyuga Hisashi's side is not so strong. Huangtu is still a little short of the cage level. Hyuga Hisashi, King and Mabu are all elite jonin. The 4 of them can only resist Kisame together. The only cage level is Chiyo. If she can't deal with Scorpion, they can only lose everything. Hinata Hisashi and the others persevered, while Chiyo on the other side was also being beaten by Scorpion, and had no strength to fight back. As time passed, the wounds on the 5 people became more and more, and Chiyo's puppets were all damaged and poisoned. Finally caught up, Sasuke, go. Just when they were about to be wiped out, Naruto and Sasuke suddenly appeared and stopped Kisame and Scorpion respectively. Hisashi and the others hurriedly retreated to avoid being affected by the fight between the 4 people. Lord Chenshin asked us to come in advance. Leave this to us. You go back and treat first. Naruto, who turned into a magic turret, faced Scorpion directly, took the time to shout to the people behind him, and then concentrated on performing ninjutsu. In Naruto's continuous ninjutsu, Scorpion's chakra line could not be maintained at all, and he could only hide in embarrassment. Sasuke on the other side had already driven the Gundam. If the cave was not big enough, he would have burst it long ago. No matter how hard Kisame tried, he couldn't break through Susanu's defense, and even Sumehada couldn't absorb any chakra. One of the abilities of Susanu's main Juki Sharingan, Sumehada couldn't absorb the pupil power of the Sharingan. After making sure that the 2 were fine, Hisashi and the others supported each other and prepared to leave. The injuries on their bodies couldn't last long, and they had to be treated as soon as possible. But unexpectedly, Chiyo was unwilling to leave. I'm already poisoned. There's no way to save me. You all go. I'll stay here. While speaking, her eyes were still on Scorpion, not leaving for a second. Seeing this, Hisashi and the others could only let Chiyo stay, and they left first. During the time they wasted, Kisame and Scorpion could no longer hold on, and they could die at any time. After all, Naruto and Sasuke are the saviors and protagonists, so it's normal for them to have this fighting power. Wind style, Rasen Shuriken. Naruto raised his right hand high, constantly gathering chakra, and could deliver a fatal blow at any time. Scorpion glanced at Chiyo, and a smile appeared on the broken puppet. For the sake of Grandma, I'll help you one last time. As soon as the voice fell, Scorpion's hands were like butterflies flying through flowers, and the seals were completed in an instant. Looking at his movements, Naruto remembered a sentence taught by Chenshin: the villain dies because of talking too much. In order to prevent the opponent from counter-attacking, he threw the spiral shuriken in his hand straight out. When Naruto made a move, Chiyo, who was already poisoned and seriously injured, didn't know where she got the strength from, and rushed to Scorpion in an instant. Naruto wanted to save people, but it was too late, and he could only watch Chiyo and Scorpion turn into ashes together. When Naruto resolved the battle, Sasuke on the other side also ended. Susanoo disappeared, leaving only a large pit of more than 10 meters in the original place, and Kisame's broken body lay quietly in the pit. Looking closely, even if he was dead, Sumehada was still held tightly in Kisame's hand, without any relaxation. Just when Naruto and Sasuke were relaxing, there was a sound of something heavy falling from the deepest part of the cave. They looked over, and saw a burly man in red armor and long hair coming out. Naruto and Sasuke were very familiar with this man's appearance. Wasn't he the first avatar on the Hokage Rock, Hashirama Senju? Chapter 119 Infinite Moon Reading. On the front battlefield, Chen Tian, who was fighting with Senju Tobirama, saw the pieces of paper flying off his body, and knew that the impure world reincarnation had been cancelled. As expected, Senju Tobirama stopped immediately, and made hand seals to stay. Chen Tian had already told him the cause and effect, and he could not leave without worry until the matter was resolved. In other battlefields, those who were fighting against the impure world reincarnation army stopped and watched these people return to the Pure Land. In the temporary command room, Namikaze, who received the news, shouted, "The impure world reincarnation has been cancelled." For a time, all the ninja coalition forces, including the 5 shadows, were excited and smiling. But before they could be happy for long, a huge figure appeared in the center of the rain country. Even though it was so far away, they could still clearly see the appearance of the monster. It crawled on the ground like a reptile, but it was still hundreds of meters high, which made people terrified. After seeing this monster, Chen Tian pulled Senju Tobirama to the temporary command room without saying a word. "Leave Senju Tobirama here, and let them communicate by themselves." Chen Tian left instantly to look for Naruto and Sasuke. The Ten Tails have all come out. It is time for Naruto and Sasuke to show their power. How can they be without them? When Chen Tian came to the cave, he saw 3 people coming out, among whom was Naruto and Sasuke. The first generation of Hokage? Chen Tian looked at Senju Hashirama in surprise, and couldn't figure out how Naruto and Sasuke killed the controller of the impure world reincarnation in the hands of Senju Hashirama. After a few people talked, Chen Tian knew the development of the matter. It turned out that Senju Hashirama had never been reincarnated by the impure world reincarnation, and was reincarnated by Scorpion at the last moment. After reincarnation, Senju Hashirama sensed the death of the controller, and because of curiosity, he stayed with his powerful strength. As a result, he met Naruto and Sasuke when he came out. After the 2 sides fought, they realized that it was a misunderstanding. Knowing from the 2 people that it was his good friend Uchiha Madara who was causing trouble, Senju Hashirama immediately said that he would stop his good friend. That's why Chen Tian saw the scene when he arrived. After talking to the 3 about the current situation, they went straight to the location of the Ten Tails. When they arrived, they found that the 5 Kage were also here, fighting with Uchiha Madara. There were also several bodies of other Akatsuki members around the battlefield, and they were obviously killed by these people. Madara. The moment Senju Hashirama saw Madara, he shouted and rushed up, completely ignoring everyone else. Hashirama. Madara did the same thing, and used a powerful ninjutsu in his hand without chakra to greet him. Senju Hashirama, who had infinite chakra in the impure world reincarnation, was naturally not to be outdone, and also fought back. But Chen Tian found something unusual, that is, Uchiha Madara had been standing on the head of the Ten Tails, and his feet were connected to the Ten Tails. Immediately, his pupils shrank and he shouted, "Naruto Sasuke, you all come together. He has begun to fuse the Ten Tails." Hearing Chen Tian's words, the others also saw it, and for a while, they rushed up like locusts, trying to interrupt Madara. Ha ha ha, it's too late, the moon is out. Hearing Chen Tian's words, Madara laughed heartily, pointing at the moon and shouting, "Infinite, Tsukuyomi." After his voice sounded, the moon in the sky suddenly turned blood red, staring at the ninja world like a demonic eye. When the bloody light on the moon shone on the earth, all the ninja world allied forces fainted on the ground, including Minato, Tsunade, Jiraiya and others. The only ones who didn't faint were the reincarnated Senju Hashirama and Senju Tobirama, as well as Naruto, Sasuke and Chen Tian. Hashirama, see, I'm right. Only in this way can the ninja world be peaceful. Feeling the powerful power in his body, Uchiha Madara no longer took Chen Tian and others seriously. But he didn't see that when he laughed triumphantly, Chen Tian looked at him and showed a relieved smile. This tool man is not bad, he works hard. I thought so in my heart, but the play must be performed, and I can't let Black Zetsu see the flaws, otherwise it will fail. Let's go together, we must stop him. With a roar, Chen Tian came to the side of the Ten Tails with a flying thunder god, and pressed down fiercely with a Rasengan as big as his head. Although not even a layer of skin was wiped off, the others were led by him, and rushed towards Uchiha Madara together. Water style, cut water wave. Fire style, flame dragon song technique. Susanoo, Kagutsuchi, slash. Wood style, sage mode, Buddha on the head. Under the continuous attacks of the four people, even Uchiha Madara, who was amplified by the Ten Tails, could not bear it. Except for the slightly weaker Senjutsu Birima, the others were not much weaker than him before. In a hurry, Madara could only speed up the transformation process of the Ten Tails, making the speed at which the Ten Tails wrapped the ninja and absorbed chakra much faster. When these ninjutsu approached him, the Ten Tails had already begun to stand up slowly and stretched out something similar to an arm to block these attacks. Although it blocked it, the Ten Tails' arm was seriously damaged, and it immediately let out a resounding howl. Yes, that's right. One more transformation away, and Uchiha Madara can become the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. Watching the Ten Tails transformation, Chen was even more excited, but his hands did not stop at all, attacking the Ten Tails more fiercely and mercilessly. When they were fighting, more than 160,000 people in the Shinobi Alliance were all wrapped up by the roots of the Ten Tails, and a steady stream of chakra was absorbed into their bodies. Chen took a look and saw that some people with less chakra were already pale and would die soon. He immediately became anxious and wanted to force Uchiha Madara to transform the Ten Tails as soon as possible and become the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. There were those little guys like Shianshin, as well as Yuhikuni, Konan, Tsunade Jiraiya and others, and their safety must be guaranteed. What really depressed Chen was that, because the infinite Tsukuyomi was performed by Uchiha Madara this time, even Kakashi and Kei, who should have stayed awake, fell asleep, which was simply too much. Without time to think, Chen shouted to the other four people, "You hold him, I'll give him a big one." Senjutsu, super large Senjutsu tailed beast jade. Ordinary tailed beast jade cannot cause damage to the Ten Tails. Chen can use natural energy to condense the tailed beast jade. In just 10 seconds, the Senjutsu tailed beast jade in front of Chen was 1 meter in size. Not enough, not enough, it must be at least 10 meters in size to force Madara to transform into the Ten Tails in advance. With the goal in mind, Chen inputted natural energy faster, and the speed of the tailed beast jade suddenly increased. Every transformation of the Ten Tails requires the absorption of enough chakra, but it can also transform without absorption, but the degree of strength improvement is not that great. Uchiha Madara cannot speed up this speed under normal circumstances for the sake of powerful strength, so he must put enough pressure on him. Senju Hashirama and others let Madara advance once, but they can't do it again, because they are not strong enough. Sasuke and Naruto don't have any plugins now. The damage of the ninjutsu cannot be said to be weak, but it can't threaten Madara's life, so Chen can only do it himself. Chapter 120, The Fun-Loving Senju Hashirama. Uchiha Madara, who was entangled with the four people, felt a huge energy gathering. When he looked over, he felt frightened. This move can kill me, we must stop him. Madara was still reluctant to let the Ten Tails transform in advance, and wanted to interrupt Chen instead. But how could the people who had received Chen's reminder let him go just like that? Summoning technique, 5-layer Rashomon. Senjutsu Earth Release, Super Earth Flow Wall Amaterasu. Multiple Shadow Clone Technique. Several people attacked in succession, blocking some of the roots of the Ten Tails, but there were still many missed. At the critical moment, Senju Tobirama relied on his infinite chakra to split into tens of thousands of shadow clones, and rushed towards those roots in a suicidal manner. Seeing this, Senju Hashirama's eyes suddenly lit up, and he followed suit, and performed the multiple shadow clone technique. Tens of thousands of Senju Hashirama released would release at the same time, and pinned Uchiha Madara to the ground, and beat him up on the spot. Hahaha, impure world reincarnation means you can do whatever you want. Seeing Madara being beaten continuously, Hashirama couldn't help but laugh out loud. Fortunately, Scorpion used his puppet, the corpse of the third Kazekage, to resurrect Hashirama Senju, so he could maintain his peak strength. This scene stunned Chenshin, who was condensing the tailed beast ball in the back. Senju Tobirama really knows how to play. These two brothers, one dares to play, and the other dares to learn, which made Chenshin feel a toothache. He couldn't help but complain. It turns out that this impure world reincarnation is matched with the multiple shadow clone technique. No wonder it was all created by Senju Tobirama. Impure world reincarnation allows people to have unlimited chakra and lose the sense of pain. Infinite chakra can be infinitely divided into shadow clones. As long as there is enough time, it is no problem to divide him into 3 or 5 million. Shadow clones will cause pain after death, and impure world reincarnation happens to make people lose all senses, which perfectly solves the sequelae of the death of shadow clones. In addition, the person who not only used the multiple shadow clone technique was the super shadow level Senju Hashirama. TSK. What kind of savior is needed? When encountering danger, the impure world reincarnation Senju Hashirama can solve anything. The only price is that he needs a better body. Chen Tian really couldn't figure it out. Why did Senju Hashirama just play a supporting role in the original work? Now his power is so terrifying. But it's good this way. They force Madara to become the Ten Tails Jinchuriki as soon as possible. I will take the opportunity to condense the tailed beast ball. Let's make it 3 to 500 meters in size. I guarantee that I can kill Madara with one blow. Thinking of this, Chen Tian selectively ignored the battle in front of him, quietly retreated several kilometers, and tried to condense the tailed beast ball. Not only Chen Tian was speechless, but even Naruto and Sasuke withdrew from the battlefield and could not continue to attack. Because in front of them, the two brothers, Hashirama Senju and Tobirama Senju, had already surpassed the number of the Ninja Alliance, and they were still increasing. The most important thing is that the combat power of the two brothers' shadow clones is much higher than that of the Ninja Coalition, and each one is not much worse than the 5 shadows. Anyway, now they can no longer see Uchiha Madara and the Ten Tails, and only the two brothers are in sight. We just watch. Naruto's tone was a little uncertain. Sasuke heard this and asked unhappily, what else? Can you beat Uchiha Madara, or can you beat the Ten Tails? The two looked at each other helplessly, and obediently left the battlefield to watch the battle. At the edge of the Pure Land, the Six Paths Sage, who had been watching the ninja world, saw that Madara successfully fused the Ten Tails, and smiled with great relief. As long as the Ten Tails did not make any mistakes, everything would go according to his plan. Seeing that the Ten Tails did not absorb full chakra before the first transformation, he smiled even happier. If the Ten Tails absorbed full chakra every time it transformed, Black Zetsu would not be able to sneak attack Uchiha Madara. But when the two brothers, Hashirama Senju and Tobirama Senju, began to perform, his smile slowly disappeared, and his mouth was wide open, unable to close at all. This situation was beyond his expectations. Is it so perverted to use the impure world reincarnation and the multiple shadow clone technique together? Uchiha Madara didn't even have a chance to fight back now. He was pinned to the ground, and couldn't even crawl up. Even if the Ten Tails kept strengthening his strength, it didn't work at all. He was still hung up and beaten. Before Uchiha Madara became the Ten Tails Jinchuriki, it seemed that he couldn't beat these two brothers. The Six Paths Sage felt his teeth ache, especially when the two brothers became more and more numerous. However, because of the existence of these two brothers, he unknowingly left the variable that had always been there, Chenshin, behind his mind. On the battlefield, Uchiha Madara, who was surrounded and beaten by all kinds of people, gnashed his teeth and roared in a low voice, Hashirama Senju, Tobirama Senju, you are looking for death. After his voice sounded, a wave of air swept through, and most of the piled up shadow clones were shattered, leaving only tens of thousands. At the same place, Uchiha Madara still stood on the head of the Ten Tails, but the Ten Tails had become very similar to a human. Without its roots, it could no longer absorb the ninja's chakra, and Hong and others were temporarily safe. Multiple shadow clone technique. Wood release. Woodman technique. Hashirama Senju was not to be outdone, and once again summoned countless shadow clones, and performed the woodman technique at the same time. The 40 to 50 meter high wooden men surrounded the Ten Tails and Uchiha Madara, and the edge could not be seen at a glance. These wooden men had no intention of showing mercy, and punched the Ten Tails with their flesh. As strong as the Ten Tails, it staggered and could not stand firm under such a beating. If it were just like that, it would be fine, but there was also a Senju Tobirama, who was flying around like a fly, making people very annoyed. Before knowing which one was the real body, even the sealing technique could not deal with these two people, and Uchiha Madara was about to explode. Chen Tian, who was far away, watched them fight, and expressed that he was very satisfied, just humming a little song. The fairy jutsu tailed beast ball in front of him was now about 100 meters in diameter. If there were not too many wooden men of Senju Hashirama, Madara would have discovered it long ago. That's right, Madara will become the Ten Tails Jinchuriki next, and then Black Zetsu will sneak attack at the first time, so I will throw the tailed beast ball out the moment Madara becomes the Jinchuriki. Black Zetsu's ability is not strong. When Madara is familiar with the power of the six paths, he will no longer have a chance to make a move. Therefore, his only chance is the moment when Madara becomes the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. Analyzing the situation happily, Chen Tian was still inputting natural energy into the tailed beast ball. If the system had not transformed his body, allowing him to absorb natural energy anytime and anywhere, he would have been empty by now. Chapter 121, Double Kill with One Strike. After the Ten Tails completed the last stage of transformation, there was no need to continue dragging it out. Madara immediately began to absorb the Ten Tails into his body. But the Ten Tails has its own consciousness, and this process cannot be completed in a short time. So Madara wholeheartedly began to fight with the Ten Tails in spirit, allowing the Ten Tails to fight against the two brothers, Hashirama Senju and Tobirama Senju, by instinct. The attacks of the two brothers attracted a lot of attention from the Ten Tails, and Madara was helped in between. All of this was seen by Chen Tian, who knew that the six paths Madara was about to appear, and there was not much time left for him. But the fairy-tailed beast ball in front of him was only about 200 meters in diameter, so he immediately ignored the need to maintain the balance of natural energy and input all of it into the tailed beast ball. In just a dozen seconds, Chen Tian felt that he was weak, and the tailed beast ball in front of him lived up to expectations, and reached a diameter of 300 meters. Naruto and Sasuke, who were watching the battle from a distance, also found that something was wrong, and rushed over to help the two brothers, Hashirama, but it was too late. At this moment, everyone who paid attention to this matter, focused their attention on Uchiha Madara. After spending a lot of energy, Madara finally suppressed the will of the Ten Tails, and took it into his body. Everyone saw that the Ten Tails under Madara's feet became illusory and slowly disappeared. And a white robe suddenly appeared on Madara's body, with a staff in his hand and 9 truth-seeking jade slowly rotating behind him. Now, Chen Tian's eyes lit up, and he pushed out the fairy technique in front of him, the super large tailed beast jade. The tailed beast jade rushed towards the six paths Madara at lightning speed, and almost no one reacted. After Madara achieved the six paths, he felt the enormous power in his body. Just as he was about to speak, Black Zetsu emerged from his body. Before he could react, Black Zetsu had already begun to twist his neck. Before Madara could react, his neck was broken, and his consciousness had begun to blur. He could only feel that another consciousness appeared in his mind, and this consciousness was occupying his body bit by bit. Madara said with hatred, "Black Zetsu, you actually dared to betray me." Just when his consciousness was about to completely dissipate, a bright light suddenly appeared in front of him, and the light was like the sun. Madara's consciousness seemed to be back in time, and suddenly became stronger for a moment, preventing the other consciousness from dodging. Seeing the light getting closer and closer, he smiled grimly and said viciously, "Betray me? Then let's die together." Black Zetsu also saw the oncoming big ball of light, and felt the pure natural energy, and suddenly his soul was scared. The six paths level can be immune to the damage of all attribute chakras, but only natural energy cannot be avoided. "Mom, get out of the way." Black Zetsu screamed, because it was Madara's last breath, so Kagura had not completely occupied this body. Just a second before Madara lost consciousness, the super large tailed beast ball fell on him fiercely. Boom. In the violent explosion, Madara smiled self-deprecatingly, and his body began to break and turned into a little powder. The moment the tail beast ball was launched, Chen Tian knew that something was wrong and hurriedly used Flying Thunder God to come to Naruto and Sasuke. Without saying a word, he grabbed the hands of the two and used Flying Thunder God again to leave the Rain Country and return to the territory of the Fire Country. After seeing Chen Tian's actions, Senju Tobirama also reacted in time, pulled Senju Hashirama, who was having fun, and shuttled through, thinking of the mark he left on Chen Tian. Although it looked slow, all this happened in less than a second. Back at the edge of the Fire Country territory, Chen Tian didn't care about anything else and hurriedly said, "You are ready to fight, and the two Hokage can divide as many shadow clones as they can." Just then, a deafening explosion sounded, like a huge thunder, shaking the ground for a while. The ground under the feet of Chen Tian and others began to shake, and several people were a little unstable. In addition, they felt that their ears had become deaf, and something sticky seemed to flow out. Reaching out and wiping, they found a touch of cherry red blood, and the eardrum had been ruptured. This feeling reminded Chen Tian of the time when he encountered a loud thunder in his previous life. Even if he hid at home, he felt that the house was shaking when the thunder sounded. But the current situation is even more terrifying than that time. After the explosion, the sky and the earth were all white, and nothing could be seen. Chen Tian tried to open his eyes wide, staring at the center of the explosion with tears in his eyes. The white light doesn't matter, as long as the card appears in this range. The unique light of the system will not be covered. Suddenly, Chen Tian saw two golden lights, like two silk threads in this endless white. But this made Chen Tian ecstatic, and he didn't care about much, and used the Flying Thunder God to teleport over it the first time. The moment the figure appeared, Chen Tian reached out and grabbed the two golden cards, and then the strong wind blew him away. He kept rolling in the air with the wind, and he forced himself to gather a little consciousness and teleported back with the Flying Thunder God. When he came back, the white light between the sky and the earth began to dim, and the ground gradually stopped shaking. Soon, the strong wind dissipated, and the white light disappeared, and everyone regained their sight. Everyone who couldn't wait to look at the center of the explosion opened their mouths wide, their jaws about to drop to the ground, including Chen Tian himself. Because the Rain Country had completely disappeared, replaced by a large lake of unknown depth, or it would be more appropriate to say an ocean. Endless groundwater kept gushing up, filling up the ocean bit by bit. Looking at the scene in front of him, Chen Tian was full of relief and fear. Fortunately, there were too many shadow clones of Senju Tobirama before, and when he had nothing to do, he used Flying Thunder God to send everyone back to Konoha to prevent them from being injured by mistake. If Senju Tobirama hadn't done this, I'm afraid that none of the more than 160,000 ninja coalition forces would have survived. Others were still in shock, but Chen Tian couldn't wait to check the two golden cards in his hand. At the moment, when the tail beast ball was released, Chen Tian finally figured it out. If Six Paths Madara was destroyed and died, wouldn't Kaguya also be dead? Now seeing the two cards in his hand, it is obvious that his guess was completely correct. Madara and Kaguya were finished together. Black Zetsu should be dead too. He couldn't possibly survive the explosion that could kill Kaguya. But his strength was too weak, and he had no qualifications to explode the card at all. Chen Tian couldn't produce any evidence. In fact, Chen Tian took advantage of it this time. Madara was unwilling to give his body to others because of Black Zetsu's betrayal, so he delayed it forcibly. It was because of this that Kaguya had no defense when facing the celestial technique, the super large tail beast ball, which was why she was blown to death. Otherwise, with the recovery power of the Six Paths level, whether Kaguya could be blown to death is still to be discussed. Clicking on the card, a line of words popped up automatically on it. The gold card is a special card, the Ten Tails Chakra. Do you want to merge? The gold card is a special card, the incomplete American English no got you, super gravity space, which can be merged and fused with the portable space. Do you want to merge? Seeing the content of these two gold cards, Chen Tian almost laughed and fainted. This was just too suitable for him. While the Six Paths Sage has not reacted yet, he must merge as soon as possible to make his strength reach the Six Paths level. Thinking of this, Chen Tian chose to fuse without saying anything. It takes a certain amount of time to fuse each card. It will probably take a minute to fuse these two golden cards. Chen Tian had previously told Naruto, Hashirama and others to prepare for the battle in order to guard against the Six Paths Sage. Who would have known that he would kill two big bosses with one blow? Even Chen Tian himself did not expect it. Now that this has happened, we can only hope that the Six Paths Sage will react after playing for a while. After Chen Tian started to fuse the cards, Naruto, Sasuke, Hashirama and Tobirama finally reacted. They all looked at Chen Tian with their mouths wide open, as if they were looking at a monster. Chapter 122 Freezing Time and Space. Teacher Chen Tian is so awesome. Naruto said so for a long time, but found that he couldn't find the words to describe it. The land of rain has become an ocean? Sasuke murmured in disbelief, his Manjaki Sharingan spinning desperately, thinking that he was hit by some powerful illusion. After spinning his Manjaki Sharingan for more than 10 seconds, Sasuke could only accept the reality helplessly. The land of rain was destroyed by Chen Tian in one go. Not to mention the two brothers Tobirama and Hashirama, especially Hashirama. Originally, he thought that he was very powerful because he could create a large forest, but now he found that the trees he created in a day were not as many as those destroyed in 1 minute. Is this man a human? The four people cursed in their hearts, and then they heard Chen Tian's explanation and became alert. The Six Paths Sage, who was far away at the edge of the Pure Land, was smiling at Madara's achievement of the Six Paths, ready to appreciate the performance of his stupid brother. But he didn't expect that such a big flashball would suddenly appear, and the vast whiteness made him unable to see anything. When he could see again, his mother and his stupid brother were gone, and even the country they were in was gone. Rubbing his eyes tightly, the Six Paths Sage thought he had seen it wrong, but then he saw the same scene again. The only change was that the sea was almost full. Haha, how is it possible? How could that little brat cause such a big destruction? I can't do it. Did I remember it wrong? The plan hasn't started yet? The Six Paths smiled expressionlessly and instantly said angrily, damn little brat, you dare to destroy my plan of immortality. I should have killed you long ago. The next moment, the Six Paths Sage rushed towards the position where Chen Tian was sitting regardless of anything, and the speed was almost comparable to the speed of light. It only took him more than 10 seconds to come from the edge of the Pure Land to Chen Tian and others. Who are you? Senju Tobirama was the first to see this strange old man with smoke on his head, and immediately asked, I'm your grandfather, you go to hell. The furious Six Paths Sage lost all his restraint, and wanted to make Senju Tobirama bleed 5 steps away on the spot. But the two brothers have been creating clones since Chen Tian ordered them to do so. Now there are more than 100,000 of them, and they are not afraid of being discovered. The Six Paths Sage looked at the dead clones and laughed in anger. Okay, you thought I couldn't find you, right? Then I will destroy you all. The Six Paths Sage stretched out his right hand, and his Samsara spun wildly. Super Shinra Tensei. The fierce repulsive force suddenly erupted, and all the flowers, plants, and trees around flew away, and even lifted up the 10-meter thick soil. If someone built a house here, the roof of the 3-story building would just reach the ground. Bang, bang, bang. The continuous explosions echoed in the ears, and the clones of Hashirama and Tobirama all exploded and turned into a ball of white smoke and disappeared. You take Chen Tian back, we will hold on here. Hashirama ordered Naruto and Sasuke without even looking back, and his body began to break. But he and Tobirama were both reincarnated bodies of the impure world reincarnation, and they recovered quickly. The two decided to stand in front of the Six Paths Sage. Naruto and Sasuke heard this, and drove Chen Tian back at high speed, not daring to stop for a moment. Chen Tian, who had fused the card, could only watch this scene, unable to even move his little finger. Seeing Chen Tian moving away, the Six Paths Sage became even more angry, and even his face began to twist. Okay, you don't want to die, right? I'll see if you can die. He stretched out his right hand and clenched it fiercely, making a gesture like pinching a fly to death. Super Chibaku Tensei. With Hashirama and Tobirama as the center, everything within a radius of several kilometers gathered together, forming a huge sphere with a diameter of hundreds of meters, which tightly wrapped the two people in it. Naruto and Sasuke, who were retreating in the distance, were under this huge attraction. Even if they tried their best, their speed of retreating was the same as the staggering steps of an old man, and they could not speed up at all. And the moment Hashirama and Tobirama were wrapped by the Chibaku Tensei, their souls had returned to the Pure Land, leaving only a pile of shredded paper. The Six Paths Sage didn't even look at them, and chased after Chenshin. Seeing that the situation was not right, Naruto and Sasuke threw Chenshin far away, and stood in front of the Six Paths Sage like Hashirama and Tobirama. Two pieces of trash, die. With a wave of his hand, Naruto and Sasuke were smashed to the ground by the Six Paths Sage. The two sank into the ground for more than 10 meters, and they didn't know how many ribs were broken. They lay there unable to move. "I'll kill you later." Chenshin attracted hatred very firmly, and the Six Paths directly abandoned Naruto and Sasuke, and chased after him. The next second, the Six Paths Sage stood in front of Chenshin, who fell to the ground, raised his foot with a hideous face, and moved it to Chenshin's head. "Damn bastard, if you hadn't ruined my plan, as long as those two rubbish successfully sealed my mother, I could have continuously absorbed her power, and finally obtained her body, thus having an endless lifespan. All of this was ruined by you." As he spoke, the Six Paths Sage had become crazy, just like a mentally ill person. Just as his foot was about to step on Chenshin's head, the voice of the system suddenly rang in Chenshin's mind. "The fusion has been completed, and the host can move freely." After the emotionless mechanical sound ended, the voice suddenly changed. "Little Emperor, kill this old bedding for me. He dared to be so arrogant." Obviously, the performance of the Six Paths Sage had angered the system, and it couldn't wait to kill him. With a pop, the foot landed on Chenshin's head at the last moment, and Chenshin, who had regained his ability to move, punched the Six Paths Sage, and sent him flying. After standing up, Chenshin had become very different. The white robe on his body and the neatly arranged jade of seeking the truth behind him all showed his strength. After pulling Naruto and Sasuke out with a wave of his hand and healing them, Chenshin looked at the Six Paths Sage. "It turns out that as a soul body, you can only exert less than half of your power. So now, what are you going to do?" As he spoke, Chenshin showed a hint of mockery. "This Six Paths is really not a human. Thousands of years ago, he had been planning to rob his mother's body and achieve immortality. At the moment of being promoted to the Six Paths level, Chenshin suddenly remembered that in the comics of the previous life, the Six Paths Sage had seen Black Zetsu when he was alive. It took him so long to remember. This is impossible. How can you become the Six Paths? This is impossible." Seeing Chenshin's appearance, the Six Paths Sage's eyes were bloodshot and almost collapsed. Looking at the Six Paths Sage's crazy appearance, Chenshin shook his head in boredom and raised his hand to finish him off. Unexpectedly, the Six Paths Sage suddenly roared, "If I die, you can't live either. Die with me, you bastard." The next moment, before Chenshin could react, the Six Paths Sage's soul suddenly expanded and exploded with a bang. At this time, Chenshin only had time to throw Naruto and Sasuke out, and he was affected by the explosion. Under the protection of the 9 seeking jades, Chenshin barely held on to his life, but was pulled into a black hole caused by the explosion. "System, what's going on?" Seeing himself getting closer and closer to the black hole, Chenshin was panicked. Instead, the system's voice was full of excitement and ecstasy. "Don't worry, I detected that this black hole can be transmitted to other worlds. This is a great opportunity for us. With your strength, you can definitely survive it. What about this world? What about my relatives and friends?" Chenshin immediately thought of Minato, Kushina, Yuhi Kurenai and others. The system hesitated for a moment, and finally gritted its teeth and said, "I can use all your power to seal this world, and restart it, when you come back next time. There will be no time flow during this period." After struggling many times, and failing to get rid of this black hole, Chenshin could only reluctantly agree. The next moment, Chenshin's body lightened, and he instantly entered the black hole and fainted. The time in the Naruto world seemed to be frozen, and a leaf falling with the wind was fixed in mid-air. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123, Unexpected World Travel. Before losing consciousness, Chen Tian heard the system roaring excitedly, expressing its excitement. Although the specific content was not clear, Chen Tian still roughly heard part of it, which seemed to be, ha 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 ha, who said I will always be a broken system? I can also travel through the world. You are dumbfounded. Hearing this, Chen Tian completely lost consciousness, and he didn't know how long he had been in a daze, and he didn't know where he was. After an unknown amount of time, he floated to the vicinity of a planet that was 90% blue. He seemed to want to continue drifting, but the self-attraction of this planet hindered his progress and forcibly pulled him in. On O'Hara Island, the gathering place of scholars in the pirate world, 8-year-old Nico Robin endured the hunger in her stomach, covered the scars on her body, and came to the side of the forest far away from the settlement. Looking at the beach not far away from her, Nico Robin's scarred face showed a hint of expectation. I hope there are some small fish and shrimps, so I don't have to go hungry today. Just as she was about to trot over, the sky above her head suddenly darkened. Looking at the sky in confusion, Nico Robin's big eyes blinked, full of doubts. Why is only the sky above my head dark? Under her gaze, the black sky began to slowly rotate, and a dark vortex quietly appeared. Nico Robin was a little scared. Just when she was about to leave, something suddenly fell out of the vortex. As a preparatory scholar, Nico Robin decided to hide first and wait until the situation stabilized before checking. Studying unknown things is also one of the obligations of scholars, and they must not be given up easily. Bang! Boom! A huge sound of falling water suddenly sounded. Waves of waves kept hitting the beach, and a figure was sent to the beach by the waves at some point. Nico Robin covered her ears, closed her big eyes, and squatted carefully behind a big rock. After the surroundings were completely calm, Robin looked up at the sky. After seeing that everything was back to normal, she carefully showed her little head. She was not far from the coast and beach, and she saw the people on the beach at once. The man was covered in red blood and looked like he had fainted. Robin picked up the small stone beside him and threw it hard at the bloody man. Seeing that he was still motionless, Robin walked over cautiously. Covering her mouth, Robin's eyes flashed with fear. What kind of person is this? He was covered in blood, and it was hard to tell what he looked like. Hey, are you alive? Robin pushed the bloody man and said anxiously. Seeing that he didn't respond, she stretched out her index finger to probe the bloody man's nose and breathed a sigh of relief when she found that he was still breathing. Looking around in embarrassment, Robin gritted her teeth and put the man's arm on her back, dragging him into the forest with great effort. The bloody man looked about 1.9 meters tall. How could an 8-year-old child carry him? He could only drag him on the ground. Please don't die. Robin prayed with difficulty as she took her short legs. It was only a distance of more than 100 meters, but it took Robin more than 10 minutes to walk there. Putting the bloody man in a tree hole, Robin ran to the beach without caring about the news, wet his coat, and wiped the bloody man. After wiping it clean, Robin could see the man's appearance clearly. He was over 1.9 meters tall, strong, and his purple hair made him look quite masculine. He's so handsome. There's no one so handsome on O'Hara. After taking a closer look, Robin glanced outside. Oh. It's already dark. If I don't go back, I'll be beaten again today. With a cry of surprise, Robin hurriedly left with his short legs. Before leaving, he didn't forget to say, you just rest here. I'll come back to see you tomorrow. After Robin left, the sky was completely dark, and the tree hole was quiet. Suddenly, a muffled groan came from the tree hole, which sounded like it was caused by pain. Chen Tian slowly opened his eyes, endured the pain of powder fractures all over his body, looked at the dark tree hole, and contacted the system after confirming that there was no danger. At this time, he couldn't move at all, and there was no other way to get information except the system. System, where am I now? What's going on? Ha, you finally woke up. The system laughed very happily, but the voice was not as loud as before. After laughing, the system explained the whole story. It turned out that the power of the Six Paths Sage's self-explosion was too strong, and it blew up the space crack. In order to save Naruto and Sasuke, Chen Tian was sucked in and couldn't get out. When he asked the system to freeze the time and space of the Naruto world, the system extracted all of Chen Tian's power, and it succeeded. Then he floated in the time and space cracks for 2 years and was attracted to this world. Then he was brought here by a little girl and helped him wipe it. So I'm just an ordinary person now, without any ability at all? Chen Tian was a little collapsed. Although he didn't know what this world was for the time being, it was not a good thing to have no power. You should thank me for this. The system laughed wildly and continued, your chakra and all your ninjutsu and physique are gone, but I have retained the strength of your body and swordsmanship, gravity space, and regeneration of broken limbs for you. How about it? Am I excellent? Hearing this, Chen Tian breathed a sigh of relief. Although most of his abilities were gone, he at least had the power to protect himself. After that, he continued to communicate with the system and got some useful information. The reason why the system retained these 4 abilities is that they do not require chakra to use. Chakra is the main part of his strength and must be used to freeze time and space, otherwise the power is not enough, so he made such a choice. Even so, the system has paid 9/10 of its strength to help Chen Tian freeze time and space. Therefore, Chen Tian felt that the system's voice was much smaller because its energy was not enough for it to speak loudly. And because of the problem of insufficient energy, Chen Tian's chance of obtaining a card in the future is only 1 in 10. Chen Tian smiled at this problem and didn't care at all. As long as the card can be dropped, it's just a matter of killing a few more people. Anyway, the system has told him that this is a world of pirates. This world has nothing but many vicious pirates. When Chen Tian was about to thank and comfort the system was dismissive and said that it was very happy. Because he absorbed a lot of special energy from the space-time rift, he gained the ability to travel through the world. So, I can go back to the world of Naruto? Chen Tian was immediately delighted, thinking of Hong, Kushina, Minato and others. The system replied exaggeratedly, of course, as long as I have 300 devil fruits as energy, I can travel through the world at any time. Chapter 124 Kind Robin. Chen Tian, who was seriously injured, did not have much energy. After chatting with the system for a while, he began to rest. After he fell asleep, the injuries on his body began to recover at a speed visible to the naked eye, and the regeneration of broken limbs took effect quietly. He was too tired and slept until noon the next day. He woke up only when he noticed someone around him. The moment he opened his eyes, Chen Tian saw a little girl of 8 or 9 years old, carefully holding half a pancake and walking towards him. When she saw him open his eyes, the little girl was startled and hesitated for a while before coming to his side. I'm here to bring you food. You should eat it quickly. She handed the half pancake in her hand to Chen Tian's mouth, and the little girl quietly swallowed her saliva. At this time, Chen Tian had observed almost everything. The little girl had many wounds all over her body, all of which were caused by being beaten. As far as Chen Tian could see, some were caused by stones and some were caused by sticks. Seeing the little girl swallowing her saliva, he smiled gently and sat up. The regeneration of broken limbs is already strong. After a night, his physical injuries were completely recovered. Only some problems were still in his body, but it did not affect his activities. You saved me yesterday, right? What's your name? Chen Tian's tone was very gentle, trying not to scare the little girl. Yes. After hesitating for a while, Robin replied this time. My name is Nico Robin, big brother. What's your name? Looking at Chen Tian's appearance and tone, Robin felt that the other party was not a bad person, and he didn't hate him. Breaking the half cake in his hand into 2 halves, Chen Tian and Robin ate and chatted, getting along very happily. Half a cake couldn't even feed little Robin, let alone Chen Tian, but he still ate it all without leaving any. Although he looked calm, Chen Tian was surprised in his heart. He didn't expect to meet one of the members of the future protagonist group by such a coincidence. But this kind of thing doesn't matter. Chen Tian didn't think much about it. After finishing the cake, Robin timidly pulled Chen Tian's hand and whispered, actually, I'm a monster. Everyone is afraid of me and doesn't want to talk to me. While speaking, Robin crossed his hands and grew an extra arm on his body. He got along very well with Chen Tian, so little Robin didn't want to lie to him, so he decided to tell the truth. After speaking, little Robin's eyes flickered a little, and he didn't dare to look at Chen Tian's expression. Even his small body trembled a little. What has this child experienced? What's there to be afraid of in such a thing? Chen Tian saw the expectation and fear in Robin's heart at a glance. He had read the comic One Piece at the beginning, although he only read about half of it, but he also knew Robin's past. Although he felt that Robin was pitiful, he didn't expect it to be so serious. After not hearing Chen Tian's voice for a long time, Robin's expression dimmed little by little, and a crystal color flashed in his big eyes. At this moment, Chen Tian's big hand fell on her little head and said gently, "This is not a monster. Everyone in the sea longs to have this ability, and everyone is a strong man." Swish, little Robin's eyes suddenly lit up, looking at Chen Tian in disbelief. It didn't matter to her whether others longed for it or not. She only knew that besides the scholars, someone finally didn't hate her. To comfort the little girl, Chen Tian told her about the devil fruit, and told her that she ate the flower fruit. When little Robin calmed down, Chen Tian caught a wild boar in the forest and started to grill it on the spot. He consumed a lot of energy to recover from his injuries, and he had to replenish it. And Chen Tian could see that little Robin was also hungry. Robin was full after eating less than a pound of the whole wild boar, and the rest fell into Chen Tian's stomach, which barely made him half full. The energy consumed in recovering from the injury last night was too much, and he had to eat more. But he was not in a hurry, but chatted with Robin. Only then did he realize that the half piece of cake was Robin's food for the whole day, and all of it was given to him. Robin had never seen her father. Her mother left O'Hara when she was 2 years old and left her at her uncle's house. But her uncle was weak, and her aunt made her do all the work every day, and she would not be given food if she didn't finish it. If it weren't for the help of the scholars, I'm afraid she wouldn't be alive now. Robin only said a small part and didn't complain to Chen Tian, but smiled. But based on his memory and the injuries on her body, Chen Tian had guessed it almost right. He felt even more pity for this little girl in his heart and immediately said, "Then come to my place for dinner in the future. I will live here temporarily." Without Robin dragging himself ashore, even if he regenerated his broken limbs, he would definitely feed the fish, so Chen Tian was very grateful to Robin. The two stayed until the sun set, and Robin left with a smile on her little face all day. In addition to the scholar grandfathers, Chen Tian was her first friend and the first person who didn't treat her as a monster. After Robin left, Chen Tian carefully checked his situation. Yesterday, he was too weak and only had a general understanding. Now he has time to fully understand it. System, open the personal panel and show me my attributes. Host, Chen Tian. Physique, Vice Admiral. Physical skills, none. Swordsmanship, swordsman. 3-color haki, none. Abilities, regeneration of broken limbs. Gravity space. Obviously, after arriving in the pirate world, the system also added the abilities of the pirate world to the panel. But unfortunately he doesn't know any of them. After reading the system panel, Chen Tian found that there was a second page, and clicked it immediately. World Shuttle. 0/300. There was only this option on the second page, with a dark vortex drawn on it, and it was obvious that it was very advanced. He nodded in understanding. This should be the new shuttle ability added by the system. In fact, Chen Tian himself was also very confused. Why are the systems of other travelers so powerful, but his system is getting stronger with him? When he was in the Naruto world, he didn't even have the ability to travel through the world. If it weren't for this coincidence, the system would have reached its limit. But it's good this way. The system will upgrade according to your needs every time, which can be regarded as tailor-made. In Chen Tian's view, the system is like a diamond ring. No matter how expensive the diamond ring is, it is not suitable. And his system is tailor-made and most suitable for him. Although it is not as expensive as others for the time being, he can upgrade it. As long as he works hard, it is not certain whose system will be stronger in the future. After confirming the content of the system, Chen Tian closed the system panel and began to sense the situation in his body. With the powerful recovery power of regenerating broken limbs, his body has completely recovered as before, but there is a power in his body that is constantly destroying it. This energy is not huge, but the intensity is very high. It is preliminarily estimated that it will take more than 10 years to completely erase it. If it weren't for the fact that the body is recovering every moment, if it were someone else, I'm afraid that the body would be rotten and die in 10 minutes. Under the influence of this energy, Chen Tian's strength cannot be frequently burst out, and generally only half of it can be used. Even if he bursts out with all his strength, it will only last for half an hour at most, and the body will begin to collapse. In addition, there is a side effect, that is, he needs a lot of energy. In order to obtain enough energy, he must eat a lot. If the energy is not enough to maintain the body's recovery, the body will also rot and die. This situation is a bit bad. Chen Tian sighed helplessly, his face full of bitterness. The physical strength of the Vice Admiral of the Navy headquarters, but he does not know anything like six styles and haki, and is definitely not as strong as those Vice Admirals. In addition, in this situation, encountering an opponent at the level of Vice Admiral, it seems that there is no other way except to escape. Thinking about his previous strength at the level of 6 paths, it is really horrible now. But in just a minute, Chen Tian cheered up again. I must become stronger as soon as possible to return to the Naruto world. With a firm look in his eyes, Chen Tian braved the darkness to catch prey. Chapter 125 The Demon Slayer Order arrives. A month passed in the blink of an eye. Robin completely became Chen Tian's little follower, and Chen Tian also accepted this little girl. Little Robin went to study with the scholars of the root of the tree of all knowing every morning, came to chat with Chen Tian in the afternoon, and went back to do housework at night. Perhaps because of Chen Tian's existence, Robin's little face was always smiling. But yesterday, Robin did not come to Chen Tian. It was almost evening today, and he still hadn't seen Robin's young figure. Why hasn't this girl come for 2 days? Something is wrong. Chen Tian lowered his head and thought for a while, and said, let's go and take a look. In the past month, he has more or less walked around O'Hara, and he can still find the approximate location. With the support of strong physical fitness, Chen Tian arrived near Robin's uncle's house in just 10 minutes. Just approaching, he heard the shrew-like abuse and the sound of sticks falling on flesh. You dead monster, you just run outside every day. Have you finished washing the clothes? I feed you for free every day. Why don't you do more housework? Do you want me to do it? If you don't finish washing the clothes today, I won't give you food for 3 days. You monster will starve to death. Chen Tian had heard this voice before. It was the voice of Robin's aunt, and Chen Tian's face turned dark immediately. He had guessed it at the beginning, but he didn't expect this woman to be so cruel. Even from such a distance, Chen Tian could hear Robin's screams. He kicked the door open angrily and saw a pile of dirty clothes like a small mountain, and Robin lying on the ground. Who are you? How dare you kick my door? Believe it or not, I will find someone to catch you. A sharp and piercing voice came from Robin's aunt's mouth, which made Chen Tian's ears very uncomfortable. With his eyes fixed on this shrew, Chen Tian's murderous aura accumulated in the endless killings in the ninja world instantly burst out. Under the murderous aura, a trace of scarlet air appeared in the courtyard. The shrew was glared at by Chen Tian, and immediately looked around with confused eyes, like a fool. Ignoring the shrew and the man not far away, Chen Tian gently picked up Robin and said, I'm late, I'll take you away now. After saying that, Chen Tian turned around and left without lingering. Robin's aunt just recovered, and when she saw Chen Tian's actions, she was about to speak, but was glared at by Chen Tian again. This time Chen Tian showed no mercy, and the huge murderous aura instantly shocked her into a fool, and her saliva flowed out unconsciously. I didn't want to attack her, but when Chen Tian picked up Robin, he found that Robin's injuries were much more serious than I thought. If I was late for a while, it would be a question whether Robin could survive. Robin's uncle hid aside and watched all this, not daring to say a word, his face full of horror. Ignoring him, Chen Tian carried Robin back to the wooden house he built in the forest, put the unconscious Robin on the bed, and went to look for herbs. After losing ninjutsu and chakra, medical ninjutsu naturally could not be used anymore. Chen Tian also experimented and found that it was impossible to extract even a trace of chakra in this world, so ninjutsu was completely useless. After taking care of little Robin for about a week, little Robin had almost recovered and went back to the tree of all knowing to study. This made Chen Tian sigh that the people in this world were really healthy. From that day on, Robin did not return to her uncle's house, but lived with Chen Tian. A month passed quietly, and when Robin came back, she saw a giant who was more than 10 meters tall, just like Chen Tian at the beginning, unconscious on the beach. She ran back in a flash, and before she entered the door, Robin shouted, "Brother Chen Tian, there is a giant unconscious on the beach outside." Hearing this, Chen Tian's heart jumped, and he quickly stepped forward to move the giant up with Robin and treat it. When he heard the news about this giant, Chen Tian knew that the situation was not good. If he remembered correctly, this one was actually called Zoro, a giant vice admiral of the navy. His coming here means that the Demon Slayer order is about to arrive, and Ohara is not far from destruction. After settling the giant, Robin continued to study at the Tree of All-Knowing, while Chen Tian secretly made a small boat. The boat was really small, and could barely accommodate 2 or 3 people. It was not possible to sail long distances, but this was the limit of what Chen Tian could do. After doing all this, Zoro woke up, and Chen Tian confirmed his guess. According to Zoro, tomorrow is the time when the Demon Slayer order will arrive, and the entire Ohara will no longer exist. Brother Chen Tian, with your strength, you can definitely take little Robin away from here. You guys go. Dragging his seriously injured body, Zoro could only move his head, and looked at Chen Tian seriously. Nodding, Chen Tian said, "Tomorrow is the assessment for little Robin to become a scholar. We will leave after he finishes the exam." There was no conversation that night. Early the next morning, Robin went to take the scholar assessment. Chen Tian moved out the boat he made, and then chatted with Zoro about the Grand Line. Although he had some memories, they were only about the protagonist group, and he didn't know anything else. It's a good thing to know more about it before leaving here. Soon it was noon, and Robin ran towards the cabin with a small certificate, smiling. Today she finally officially became a scholar, and she had to share this news with brother Chen Tian. At the same time, 5 nautical miles from Ohara Island, 6 huge ships were sailing towards them. The bright missiles on the ships silently told of the firepower of these ships. Looking at the flags on the ships, one of them was a ship of the CP Department of the World Government Intelligence Organization. The remaining 5 were all Navy warships. If pirates with some reputation saw these ships, they would tremble in fear and run as far as they could. This is the demon killing order. Once it is launched, the entire island will cease to exist. As they got closer and closer to Ohara, Robin had already returned to the vicinity of Chen Tian's cabin. Brother Chen Tian. Robin ran to Chen Tian's side, smiled and raised the small certificate in her hand, and said, "Look, I have become a scholar." Chen Tian, who was about to praise him, suddenly changed his face, and looked at Zoro. Even here, they could see 5 giant warships approaching the shore, all with their guns pointed at Ohara. After taking a look at Robin, Chen Tian felt a little tangled, wondering whether he should take Robin to see his mother. Others didn't know, but Chen Tian knew that Robin's mother was taken to the island by CP's Chief Panstain. But with his current strength, he couldn't possibly be the opponent of the 5 vice admirals, not to mention that there were still many CP personnel. Zoro, protect Robin and don't let him run around. I'll be back soon. Chen Tian gritted his teeth and ran towards the Tree of All Knowledge. It was impossible to save Robin's mother. If he really went, he and Robin would have to die there. Now the only thing he could do was to help Robin take away all the books and the Tree of All Knowledge. When Chen Tian was on his way, the artillery fire on Ohara was already roaring, and the demon killing order was officially launched. He came to the Tree of All Knowledge with an ugly face, but found that it was already on fire. It was good that the remaining scholars were all there. There was no time to talk nonsense with them. Chen Tian immediately opened the gravity space and threw all the books into it. "Little brother, you must escape with these books." The scholars gave Chen Tian their sincere blessings. Chen Tian nodded to them, turned around and ran out without wasting any time. At this time, there were no Navy and CP on Ohara. Chen Tian no longer hid and ran at full speed. It didn't take long for him to arrive at the location of Zoro and Robin, but the scene he saw made his face sank. Zoro had been frozen into an ice sculpture, lying quietly on the ground. Near his head, a man about 3 meters tall stood there. Who else could it be but the rising star of the Navy, Vice Admiral Kushina? And Robin was shivering not far away, with fear in his big eyes. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.